Agenda item is the Pledge of Allegiance, and Supervisor Brennan's going to lead us.
Please join me. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So this is the time when we accept oral communications. We've got 15 minutes set aside for that. Public to speak on any item not on the printed agenda. I want to emphasize that no action can be taken by the board, and we're going to limit comments to 3 minutes, please. Come on forward, sir.
Good morning, Chairman Rotifer, members of the board, CEO Riggs. My name is David Goldenberg. In today's Union Democrat, on the front page, there's an article regarding the Realtors Association of Tuolumne County conducting a survey regarding fire insurance. It's unfortunate that it's really good that they're doing that, and I'm glad to see something's being proactively done. It's unfortunate that the county didn't take a more proactive step and gather this type of information instead of the county suggesting people just contact Insurance Commissioner Lara in Sacramento. This is a very serious issue, and it should be taken as such. Thank you.
So for a point of clarification, Chairman Rotifer,
Yep.
I met with the Realtors Association 3 weeks. We developed the survey, and they were the best resource to get it out there to gather this information to help us in these conversations.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Andy Murphy. I'm the Assistant Fire Chief for County Fire, and I just wanted to remind the community of the birthday party for Smokey Bear on Friday. So, as we all know, Smokey Bear has been a fixture in the community throughout the country for 75 years. He'll be celebrating his birthday on August 9th, and the U.S. Forest Service, CAL FIRE, and Tuolumne County Fire Department are throwing him a birthday party at the Tuolumne County Library at 10 a.m. at 480 Greenlee Road in Sonora. So after that, there'll be story time with Smokey, and then there'll be a party and celebration at the Heaven for Kids Park right next door. So we welcome the community to attend.
Thank you. Come on up, ma'am.
Hello. My name is Teresa, and I'm not even sure what I'm here to say or do, except for that I am Colton Sparks' family member, and he was a 23-month-old little boy that was murdered here in January, and it is 203 days, and there is no arrest. I wanted to say that when he was brought to the hospital failed to notify the proper authorities in this county, which would be CPS and our police chief. Once the police department did learn about it, time had passed. It is a very, very difficult case, and like I said, I don't even know what I'm here to say except for that there was a child murdered in my family, and there has not been an arrest yet, and we are angry. And I know that all of you have seen my signs, and I've gone to every authoritative person that I possibly can in this county. I have screamed loud from the front steps of this area here. I'm screaming from my job. I'm screaming from Highway 108. We don't know what else to do except for to, on my 5 minutes of time before work, to get in here and just say that, again, a child was murdered in Tuolumne County, and there's no arrest. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, and I apologize for the interruption with the cell phone.
It's all good. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
thank you. Yes, sir.
All right. I just want to say thank you for having me speak today. I'm concerned about the budget, and I think you guys are going to be tackling that over the next couple of weeks here. And I just kind of wanted to bring to attention, I'm sure you guys are aware of all this, some of the public may not be, that I imagine we're under the best financial times this county has ever seen. Our population is the highest it's ever been, the tax revenue is the highest it's ever been, and our unemployment is the highest it's ever been. And I see that we're still falling a little bit short on the budget, and we're having to make some cuts. And I know over the next couple of weeks, the cuts you guys are going to have to make are very hard, and they continue to cut pretty deep, and you guys have already done that. I just wonder if anybody's considered what happens in the next couple months to a year, 5 years, when there's a big recession. Do we have the industry to pick up this area? Do we have any backup plans other than cutting more of things that have already been cut? Or what you're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks, which is raising the taxes on people, which isn't very effective when unemployment shoots up and people aren't working. One of the things I'd love to remind this council about is I would love to help this county. I've been nothing but disruptive up until this point because I feel like there wasn't ears open to me. I just want to say I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. I'm not going to be part of the problem anymore. It's a pure solution. If you guys are willing to help and hear out what we can do, this industry can provide millions of dollars for this county in tax revenue, possibly even the difference of what you guys have in your budget downfall now, and even more so in the future during a recession. One of the industries that don't really get affected by recessions is cannabis industries and alcohol and things like that. So when everything else is hurting in town, I think that cannabis could be something you guys could be looking to. And I don't know if I said this, but this is a no population growth county. There's no, people are dying and people aren't moving here and people are graduating from high school and moving away. You need incentives for these people to stay here. You need new jobs and, new housing and all that other stuff. I can't help with that, but I can help with a large amount of income that could come into this area and a large amount of jobs. In the city, it's a very small area, but I've already produced 5 jobs in the city, and we've already produced 1% of the city's income. That doesn't sound like much to most people, but 1% from one small business with 5 employees, it's pretty darn good. I'd love to continue to do this at the county, and I'd love to someday get the chance, and you guys have a lot of bigger issues to tackle right now, so thank you for taking that 2 minutes to listen to me.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm David Peters. I was going to talk about insurance costs for homeowners because I know mine's doubled and is about to triple because I'm presently with Lloyd's of London, of all places, and probably will be canceled when it comes up for renewal. And my son just got canceled by Lloyd's of London. So we're going to have to go with the state, which means 3 times the normal insurance rates. However, I'm glad I followed this gentleman because I want to make a comment on what he said. Yeah, the 2 dispensaries in Sonora are medicinal marijuana dispensaries. Those do not bring the crime and problems that cultivation will bring to Tuolumne County. I strongly advise that nobody get involved in that so we don't end up with the same problems that Calaveras County has. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, and thank you. I spent a lot of time sitting in this room, and I've listened to a lot of people get up and talk about the fire insurance industry. So the state insurance commissioner was up here in this area, 11 miles away. And where were all of you? I didn't see one elected official go to meet with him. I only saw 3 other people that I recognized from Tuolumne County. And of course, I made myself very visible and very available, so I did have a private conversation with him, and he does want to come to Tuolumne County. But coming up here and ranting and raving at the podium is not the same as looking him in the eye. And I spent 2 days when I kind of accidentally found out he was going to be here, trying to tell all the realtors and the mortgage brokers and the insurance providers that he was here and you should come and meet with him in a public forum where he'd be at least somewhat obligated to speak to you. So I was really disappointed not to see more people from Tuolumne County.
And we have met with the insurance commissioner, so our members of the board have, and the staff. Any other public comment? Okay, we're going to close the oral communications period. Thank the public for all their comments. And I'd like to have the clerk of the board please read our consent calendar.
Minutes of the meeting held July 16th, 2019. Rejecting all bids for the Tuolumne County Road Striping 2019-2020 project, authorizing staff to revise the invitation for bids and issue a call for bids. Approving correspondence commenting on the proposed revisions of the National Environmental Policy Act rule. Approving correspondence commenting on the Board of Forestry and Fire Protection Draft Program Environmental Impact Report regarding proposed statewide vegetation treatment program. Approving the award of the Parrots Ferry Road Reconstruction Project Phase 2 to George Reed, Inc. Approving the plans and bid book for Buchanan Road storm damage repair and issuing a call for bids due on August 29th at 2 p.m. Approving the notice of completion for the Highway 120 detour maintenance project and approving the reappointment of Dick Southern as the District 3 representative to the Tuolumne County Transportation Council Citizens Advisory Committee.
Okay, Supervisor Brennan.
I'd like to pull items 3 and 4, please.
Okay, any other board member want to pull any other items? Okay, so with that, any public comment on the consent calendar items 1 and 2 and 5 through 8? Yes, sir, please.
Hi, my name is Mitchell Kay, and I'm a contractor. And this is concerning the road striping, pulling the bid for road striping or rejecting it. Just a few things. I've been painting the roads for you guys for 20 years. I've been a successful low bidder for 20 years painting your roads, and successfully. It appears I just got a call from the attorney. I've been trying to get a hold of him. I just got a call from them because I want to know why. And also, I want you to know I was actually the responsible low bidder on this project. And it seems to be a small technicality that there was only 2 bidders, and the other contractor protested for a small technicality. So your attorney, I finally got the code. She's saying that it mandates you guys have to rebid this, but it's a big deal to rebid. I've spent I already spent over $4,000 for a bond that you guys are holding. I mean, if you're mandated, you're mandated. I get it. But I guess what I'm asking is if it can be tabled to the next meeting so I have time to professional courtesy to kind of see whether, maybe, I'm sure your team's very capable, but I would like, it just seems after all this time and my time to bid, and I am the successful low bidder, that I should have time to kind of just check it out before I'm next.
Okay, do I have... County Council, would you like to, is there any reason that we can't pull this one until the next meeting? Go ahead, come on up.
Hi. Hi, Carla. Yeah.
Okay. Deputy County Counsel Carlin Drifdahl to respond. Mr. Kay is correct that there was a protest filed with regard to this project. In reviewing that protest, however, the procedural error with the invitation for bid was identified. So the recommendation to reject all bids and put the invitation for bid out again corrected is not based on the protest or a reflection on Mr. Kay's bid in any way. This is merely to meet the mandates of the public contract code.
Okay, I'm going to pull this item.
Okay.
Off of the consent calendar, and we'll discuss it separately. Okay. So is there any public comment on items 1 or 5 through 8?
Thank you.
Yep. Seeing none, bring it back to the board for a motion on 1 and 5 through 8. Okay, I've got a motion by Supervisor Gray. Did I hear a second from Supervisor Kirk? Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Okay, let's take item 2. Please reread item number 2.
Actually, number 3. Oh, sorry, you're right. Number 2. Consideration of rejecting all bids for the Tuolumne County Road Striping 2019-22 project and authorizing staff to revise the invitation for bids and issue a call for bids.
Okay, staff report, please.
Morning, I'm Dave Ruby, civil engineer for the county, and with me is Tanya Allen, the engineering manager for the county. Just write my notes here. Before you is a request to reject the bids for contract 1735, the road striping contract for the county. We've historically done a multi-year contract to do road striping on the roads in the county. Mr. K of Traffic Limited, who you've just met, was the striper for the last term, and he was the evident low bidder on this term as well. This project does 213 of the centerline miles of the county's 610 miles in all, and we did put out an invitation for bids recently to resolicit the contract, which had expired. So potentially this contract would be for the years 2019 through 22 with an option to extend it for 2 further years. As Mr. K told you guys, we did have 2 bidders responding. He was the low bidder based on his base bid, and the second place bidder was a firm called Central Striping Service in Rancho Cordova. After we sent out the tentative notices of award, Central Striping Service placed a bid protest on the grounds that Mr. K, they felt, did not have the equipment to do what we had asked for and solicited as a bid alternative, to do thermoplastic striping in lieu of paint on certain number of roads, which may or may not be awarded based on budget constraints that we have. We were clear on that point in our invitation for bids, and they felt that he did not have the equipment. Upon later checking with Mr. K, he did have the equipment to do that, so it seemed like a moot point at that time, but Central Striping pointed out that they felt that the invitation for bids was lacking clarity in the verbiage having to do with the subletting and contracting code, and at that point, we had Carlin and the county council review it, and she made her judgment, which you have already heard, based on that finding.
Okay. Ms. Drifdahl, can you come on back up and explain in some detail why your recommendation is what it is?
Sure thing. Deputy County Counsel Carlin Drifdahl. With regard to the bid protest that came in, the second low bidder did challenge Traffic Limited's ability to perform the alternate bid. In reviewing the bid, it was not actually the second low bidder that identified the missing documents. That was something that staff identified in the process of reviewing the entire package. So in reviewing that, the Subletting and Subcontracting Fair Practices Act in the Public Contract Code mandates that public agencies, when putting out public projects for bid, require contractors to list any subcontractors that are going to be doing work on the project that equal 0.5% of the total bid. All of those subcontractors need to be listed. In our IFB, we did not require any listing of subcontractors. So that is the identified procedural error with the invitation for bid.
Okay, what is the risk to the county if we do not take the recommended action, staff recommended action?
You will have violated the public contract code.
Okay, thank you.
Do I get a chance to say anything about
Just a second. Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Does any board member have any questions of staff at this point?
I understand what the issue is.
Okay. Now we'll have public comment. And yes, sir, you may come back up if you wish.
Okay, well, I'm not an attorney. You know, I paint roads for a living. But this is a moot point. You know, the state of California, this guy's complaining that he says I can't do it. The state of California vets me to do this work. You know, I have the equipment, and it's actually a moot point even if I did not have the equipment. I can bid it, I can go buy equipment, I can rent equipment. It is a moot point. And as far as the not listing the contractors, I wouldn't have filled the form out. You don't have to fill the form out unless you're going to subcontract. I would not have filled it out anyway. It also says in section, excuse me, I'm pretty nervous here. I forget which one it's, I think section 8, number 7, says the county reserves the right to waive any irregularities in the bidding process. So this is a small thing, and I don't know what's going on. I've been painting your roads for a long time. I'm a successful, responsible little bit. I've met all the qualifications. It seems like for a small technicality, and like I said, maybe you guys are at big risk for that one small thing that you're mandated by it, but I haven't had a chance to check that out. I know the attorney, but I think the professional courtesy, if you could table it for a couple of weeks till the next one so I get a chance to actually vet this. It's a big deal to rebid it. I've spent a lot of money and time. It's not like, well, we'll just rebid it. Hey, it's a big deal.
Okay.
So, thank you.
For staff, is there any time critical on this? I mean, would a week or two, would it cause us?
Until the next meeting.
That'd be 2 weeks.
Ideally, we would like to do it correctly. I'm like wearing the big cone of shame right now for me, and I'd like to do it correctly, and that gives us another 15 days for solicitation. Mr. K can rebid and still, provide a proposal if he is wanting to do this work.
Okay, so you didn't answer the question. If we table this and bring it back for action in 2 weeks, what's the issue with us? What's the issue for the county?
We've delayed it 2 weeks if we have to resolicit, and we are trying to get striping in at fall and spring as our scheduled times.
I guess.
Okay, you still haven't answered the question. Okay, is there a problem? Let me rephrase it. Is there an insurmountable problem if we bring this back on the next meeting's agenda and give the gentleman some time to talk to his attorney?
No, there's never a problem.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair. Do you anticipate if we delay this 2 weeks that staff recommendation will be any different?
No. One thing I just want to make it clear, certainly your board can decide you want to delay it, but I would like to make it clear that Mr. K would be providing some sort of information to our office if he feels like there is a different legal interpretation and prior to the board meeting so that we have time to address
Sure.
that.
Of course.
Sure. Okay.
I got one more important thing. Can I say it?
Okay.
Right, also, there's only 2 of us, that bid on this. No one else wants to play this game, okay? So now, rebidding, we both know our hand. That's kind of like, it makes it even more unfair, quite frankly. If you guys indeed have the right to go ahead, so I'd like to find out if you're actually mandated. I'd like to verify that. So that's
Okay. Okay. Any other public comment? Okay.
This seems kind of silly from where I'm sitting, but if there was a mistake made, it's not a moot point if we're violating the law. But if he just has to supplement what he has with what was missing, or if he has to start all over, what is the cost to the bidders for the bid process? Is there a difference?
Here's the difference, okay? When you bid, you don't know what the other person's going to bid. Now they know, the competitor knows what his bid was. So it's not the same process the second time around, just so everybody understands. Okay? So I'm looking for...
I would, if you need a motion, or can we just do it by consensus?
If it's going to be to table it, then we can do it by consensus. If we
Let's table it and give the gentleman a chance to find out the information from his attorney, get it back prior to the board meeting, And then if it doesn't change council's mind, then our only other option is to put it out to bid.
So, okay. So I would ask that either he or his competitor, if they have some information that is going to be presented to the board, that information be shared with county council prior to close of business on Friday prior to that board meeting. Is that acceptable? Okay. Do I have consent? Do I have board consensus to table this for 2 weeks with those conditions?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we're going to table it for 2 weeks. Okay, and we'll bring it back. Okay. Would the clerk of the board please read? Can I read 3 and 4 together?
Yes, read them.
Okay. Will you please? Yeah. Can you please read items 3 and 4, please?
Number 3 is consideration of approving correspondence commenting on the proposed revisions of the National Environmental Policy Act rule, and also approving correspondence commenting on the Board of Forestry and Fire Protection draft program environmental impact report regarding proposed statewide vegetation treatment.
Okay. Before we get to staff, Supervisor Brennan, did you want to make some preliminary?
I'll be very quick, yes. And first, I want to really thank staff because they have so much on their plate, and they got these comments done. Both of these documents are several hundred pages. But the reason I really pulled this is because they both directly are examples of the work that Tuolumne County has been doing to increase the pace and scale of vegetation management with the state and the federal government. And it's very important to recognize that while we invest a lot of time and energy in doing this, especially different board members and different committees, and Ms. Peterson, on behalf of us, it is great to see that we are moving on this, and we understand that we have to be able to cross jurisdictional boundaries, and we have to have some CE authority in place that does protect the environment, but gives us the tools to move these projects forward in a much more timely way. And so I appreciate both the federal government and the state government being responsive. My comment is that on I would approve item 3 the way it is written. On item 4, I would like to work with Ms. Peterson because it was really analysis of alternatives, and they analyzed GHG gases in all of their alternatives. What they did not analyze for is a no action alternative, and I think our comment should reflect what the consequences are with no alternative, and we have that data. It's easily attainable through Sierra Nevada Conservancy, a report that was done after the Rim Fire, what the cost is to all ecosystem services by not acting. So I would like to incorporate some language in item 4, working with Ms. Peterson, if you would approve that. That simply points out they should analyze for a no action alternative specifically what the greenhouse gas impacts are if we don't do this.
Okay. Is there any public comment on either of these items? Okay, so if I understand.
I move approval of item 3 and would request sending the letter.
Can't hear her.
Would request sending the letter on item 4 with comments pertaining to analyzing a no action alternative.
Okay, I'm okay with authorizing approval of both of them, contingent on you working with supervisor. Yeah, I just promoted you.
No.
Well, I don't know if it's a promotion or not, but with Ms. Peterson to get to include the language as you stated.
Yes, and we would bring these back, but they're under a very short time frame for, I think, comments are due next week. Yes.
Yeah, the 9th and the 12th.
So
You have to trust the chair to review the letter to make sure.
I will do that. Okay. So is that your motion?
That is a motion.
Okay. So I've got a motion from Supervisor Brennan, a second from Supervisor Gray, approving both letters contingent on adding language into the letter for item number 4, specific to greenhouse gases for the no action alternative. Is there any public comment? Seeing none. Any other board comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, it's 5-0. Okay, thank you. Consent calendar, that was easy. Okay, would the clerk of the board please read our 9 o'clock appointments?
This is consideration of approving a certificate of recognition honoring the American Legion on its 100th birthday.
No. Would you please read our first 9 o'clock appointment? That's all right. We all make mistakes, some of us more than others.
Okay, this is a presentation on the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors priorities.
CAO Riggs.
All right, good morning. Tracy Riggs, County Administrator's Office. So this item before you today is the first presentation this fiscal year on board priorities. You may remember earlier this year your board adopted priorities as a result of the board workshop in February. Those items as listed in your board memo, so it continues. The two primary priorities are public safety and roads. Those have been the two priorities for the board for many, many years. But this year, your board adopted some focus areas underneath that. Some of those include fire preparedness, land use, so updating our ordinance to reflect the changes within the general plan, road improvements, vulnerable populations, and then some internal are employee development and county infrastructure. As we discussed during the board workshop, your board had indicated the desire to begin hearing more directly from department heads. So rather than me sitting up here and paraphrasing what they have told me, you have your department heads here along with their key staff who can provide those updates to you and then also answer any questions that you may have. So I will defer first to my office, which will be Mo and Liz.
Okay, we're going to go quickly. Yes, tag team. So I'm Liz Peterson with the County Administrator's Office. I'm going to speak to the work that our office has undergone in the last 2 quarters related to fire preparedness. So this is just a broad overview, and I'm going fast, so buckle up. We have held 7 community meetings on fire preparedness with over 800 attendees. We updated our website with resources, including community maps for evacuation planning. We have had the Fire Safety and Community Resilience Task Force meet monthly to determine the threats and goals and develop a work plan to build fire safety and resilience in the county. We have implemented a roadside chipping program as well as working toward implementing our defensible space program for seniors. That is just about done there. We have also been awarded a FireWise grant for helping communities develop their own FireWise sites, and that is going very well. We have collaborated and coordinated with other agencies outside of the county specifically on their fire safety efforts, including Area 12 Agency on Aging, county schools, Fire Safe Council, SWIFT, etc. We have done presentations to local service groups and clubs, including T-Cares, the Rotary Club, the Lions Club, the League of Women Voters, and an outreach with Area 12 Agency on Aging to mobile home park residents. We have done work to improve roads like Mount Provo, Mount Elizabeth, and other non-primary ingress-egress routes, and still continuing that work. As you have spoken to, you have had a meeting with the California Insurance Commissioner on homeowners insurance issues, and that continues to roll on. And then we have implemented, or are in the process of implementing 5 fuel reduction projects, a variety of different fuel reduction methods through the county's Master Stewardship Agreement on Forest Service land.
Okay. I am going to talk to you a little bit about the capital projects, the major ones the county is endeavoring to get done, and they're in various stages. The first one is a program document for the Justice Partners out of the Law and Justice Center campus. Back in March, your board heard a presentation from me in regards to what are the next steps, as we have the juvenile facility, the regional transportation hub, and the jail already in either completed or, in the case of the jail, completed shortly. What are the next steps to move the other criminal justice partners onto the site? We have a lot of questions in regards to that, and the only way we could get at those questions in regards to the remaining 3 parcels and what's on it is through what's called a programming document. So after receiving permission from your board to go out, an RFP was sent out for architectural services related to this document. We received 6 proposals, of which we selected Lionakis Architects to do the services for us. As a matter of fact, yesterday was the kickoff meeting and starting on the tours for these facilities. So what this program document will do is look at the needs and look at the sizes that we need to build for those facilities. What adjacencies, what economy of scales, what is the best use of the 3 parcels we have. The other item that we wanted the architect's office to look at is the road, future of Gardella Ranch Road, and exactly how much will that cost us. And so that's what we have going on for the programming document. The other major capital project going on that I mentioned before is out on the Lawn Justice Center campus, and that's our new 60,000 square foot jail facility. As of the end of July, we're at 72% complete. We are anticipating substantial completion December 9th with final completion January 17th. The third item, one in which I've been in front of the board for several years now, is part of our National Disaster Resiliency competition is at our community resiliency centers. In April, staff completed phase 1 of this project and completed programming documents, schematic design. We've done the cost-benefit analysis that was required by the state. We had selected 2 parcels, 2 project areas, one in Groveland, one in Tuolumne, that we wanted to work with. That came before your board for your consideration as far as how you wanted to proceed. Your board, as you know, selected to proceed with both a center in both of those communities. Subsequently, a month after that, we received a letter from the state that said Tuolumne County could proceed. You've accomplished all of the goals and requirements we set for you in phase 1. Please go ahead and get started on phase 2. And you're more than welcome to, you're invited to do 2 facilities, as long as you meet all the requirements. Subsequent conversations with the state has led to some, how do I put this politely, the backtracking of what they're saying to us. The state is now coming back and saying to us that as long as you satisfy the funding gap that you have in the preliminary cost estimate, we want you to proceed with 1. And once you have that 1 facility designed, completely designed, and you know what the cost is, then you can proceed with the second CRC. So which CRC are you selecting? At which time, I won't tell you what staff said. It's not for public consumption, but I can tell you that we had significant conversation with them as far as the definition of what is schematic design and what is the preliminary cost estimate. I don't have a final design of the facility yet, and I don't have a cost estimate yet that is true to what we would have when we go out to bid. So hence, I don't have a funding gap. And if you are going to stick with this line of reasoning, then you're telling me, you're telling my community, you're telling my board that we really only have 1 community resiliency center. And that's not what we as a community want. That's not what we have agreed that we will follow and be within budget and provide you those 8 design guidelines. This is what we need. This is what we want. And how can you help me get there? So they have reluctantly agreed to a meeting on August 23rd with county staff, including 2 members of your board, to sit down along with our architects to better understand where the county is coming from and for us to understand where we are with the project. And so I wish I had better news on that, but we're still fighting the fight. In the meantime, because we're under the gun as far as the requirements of the grant, I am proceeding with the appraisals of the property. I'm reviewing and have the geotech reports back from both of the project sites, and so I'm moving along as if I still have 2 centers.
Okay. Thank you. I guess according to my little agenda here that the Ag Commissioner is next. Is that correct? Come on up.
Since there's just one of me. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Kelly Schroeder, the Ag Commissioner, Air Pollution Control Officer, and Animal Control Director. So I will be reporting on all three departments today. For our Ag Department, my deputy and I have been participating in the Fire Resiliency Task Force, and my deputy also attended the Camp Fire Resources Monitoring and Research Symposium in Chico on June 4th. There they discussed the results on ongoing research of the impacts of the campfire for surface water, poultry, and livestock. So that's still ongoing. For the Air Pollution Control District, for fiscal year 18-19 was the first year of the implementation of the wood smoke reduction program. The wood smoke reduction program is part of the California Climate Investments, a statewide program that puts billions of cap and trade dollars to work reducing greenhouse gas emissions, strengthening the economy, and improving public health and the environment, particularly in disadvantaged communities. The program is designed to help households replace uncertified wood stove, wood insert, or fireplaces used as a primary source of heat with a cleaner burning and more efficient device. The replacement devices emit less greenhouse gases and other air pollutants. They are also likely to start fires that more likely than old stoves that have been maintained improperly or installed improperly. We received $135,000 in grant money, and overall 45 stoves have been replaced. 16 of those 45 stoves have been replaced since January of this year, and with interest, the grant amount expended on the wood stove program amounted to $139,000 for this year. For the fire preparedness side of the air pollution control, through the Community Air Protection Program grant, our district has purchased 24 purple air sensors for schools and camps in our county. The sensors measure airborne particulate matter, and particulate matter is a solid particle suspended in the air. So the schools can help them use these to help them determine activity levels of the students. And we also purchased 2 environmental beta attenuation mass monitors, or as we call them, EBAMs. We will use these in case of an event of a wildfire. The EBAM provides accurate, precise, real-time measurement of particulate matter. It is a rugged, portable, battery-operated device that can be set up in 15 minutes. Our district also ran a green waste voucher program where residents were allowed to obtain 4 vouchers. Each voucher was good for a disposal of 1 cubic yard of green waste. We had 3 companies participate: Cal Sierra Waste Management, Earth Resource Facility, and Plainview Site and Greenworks. That was 4. And we gave out 1,190 vouchers, which were redeemed for a total of $6,500. We also have a burn program in which we do multiple tasks. We maintain a burn line. Our burn line is a messaging system that residents can call to learn information about burn days where they're allowed to and not allowed to burn their green waste. And we have a permit program which allows businesses and commercial entities the ability to burn vegetation on site to reduce their fire hazard. We also prepare smoke management plans for forest hazard reduction, and we also monitor smoke during large controlled burns and wildfires. The air pollution control staff is also part of the Fire Resiliency Task Force. For animal control, for fire preparedness, the animal control manager and his various staff members participated in the 7 town hall meetings for the Fire Resiliency Task Force, and their presentation contained information regarding evacuating domestic and livestock animals and general resources for preparedness. All animal control officers received wildland fire training from CAL FIRE and received Nomex fire gear for added protection while responding to fires. For the vulnerable population side, during the earlier months, animal control, with the assistance of the Tuolumne County Veterinary Association, provided 3 low-cost rabies and licensing clinics. The focus areas for the clinics were Groveland, Jamestown, and East Sonora. Over 100 rabies vaccinations were administered and 70 licenses were sold. Animal Control has provided 4 pet food banks in 2019. This is a 100% donation-driven program. There has been a total of 2,000 pounds of food distributed. This program will continue on a monthly basis due to the generosity of the public donating the food. Animal Control also provides a low-cost euthanasia program for the public. We offer euthanasia at a lower rate than local veterinarians. This assists people who have a lower income to euthanize their pets in a safe and humane manner. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd just like to emphasize the public participation with our animal control program. It is incredible, and it is, we couldn't do what we do without it, so we really appreciate that.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board comments? Okay, I think next up is County Council.
Yep. So your board knows a lot of the work that we do. For instance, general plan litigation. We obviously work with the team from CRA and outside counsel. We have active litigation going on. Most of that's confidential, and your board's been updated in closed session, so I'm not going to talk more about that. In terms of roads, we also work really closely with CRA on projects on a weekly basis. One most recently that you'll probably remember is the Lime Kiln Bridge Replacement Project, which resulted in going towards an eminent domain action. And then when it comes to vulnerable populations, on a weekly basis, my office represents social services, so child welfare services, public guardian's office, in all of the court proceedings where they're protecting the children from abuse and neglect. They're protecting individuals with dementia or people with mental illness. And for instance, in the juvenile dependency caseload, usually at any one point in time, there's at least 100 open dependency cases, and we are providing services to social services from the beginning of the case to the very end of the case. Thank you.
Okay. Quick and dirty. Community resources. Another tag team.
Good morning. Kim McFarland, Assistant Director of Public Works. Do you want to? Okay. I got the first one then, I guess. So as we reported in the past, we have a funding shortfall between our county road needs and what we receive. But staff are really working hard to stretch our limited funds even further. So this past quarter, our fleet services team helped us out a great deal. They really saved us thousands of dollars. We had our spray truck go down, which helps out with the vegetation management program. And we thought we'd have to send it to Livermore for specialty service truck repairs. But in fact, our fleet services team were able to diagnose and repair it on site, and that helped us out with downtime as well. Additionally, our fleet manager, Mike Young, and with the assistance of the auditor controller, Debbie Batista, were able to secure at auction a vac truck, which really saved us a lot of money. They bought it for $10,000, and normally those things brand new are about $500,000. So again, that's additional funds that go into our paving program. And you guys probably know a little bit about our road crews because we try to send out weekly updates under the supervision of Mike Connetti, our road superintendent. They're really upping productivity, doing a lot of brushing and clearing, dig-outs, paving projects, and we're really impressed with that team. And additionally, our capital projects are up under the supervision of our engineering manager, Tanya Sanguinetti, formerly Allen. And some of those projects that have been completed in this past reporting period are QN Mill, Hardin Flat Bridge, and the Highway 120 detour maintenance project. So overall, the road team continues to work diligently every day on one of your board's highest priorities.
Good morning, Quincy Yaley, Assistant Director of Development. I'm here to report on 2 priorities. The first one is vulnerable populations. Our housing division, which is led by Sheila Shanahan with assistance from Michelle Carney, worked with the HSA as well as various community stakeholder groups on the county's plan to combat homelessness. You may recall that this plan was approved by your board on July 16th, along with a request to submit an application for the No Place Like Home Technical Assistance Grant. This is a $500,000 grant that the county is hoping to receive, which will be used to develop housing for vulnerable populations. The second priority to report out on is land use. And as County Council mentioned, we've been working on the general plan lawsuit. That has strained our staff in the ability to move forward with some of the post-general plan tasks that we had anticipated of implementing, that being updating community plans, working on the climate action plan, as well as addressing the ordinance code updates that we were anxious to get to. So the lawsuit, along with just general lack of availability of staff, has constrained our ability to meet that priority in the last quarter. Although I can assure you we are actively meeting and working on creative solutions to try to move those projects forward at the end of this year and moving into the first and second quarter of next year. One of those is applying for some funding under SB2, which is a non-competitive $160,000 grant that we'll be using to update the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code as it relates to housing, making it easier to push housing projects through the county ordinance code. And lastly, we'll also just again be working on the climate action plan. That is a requirement of the general plan update, and so I would expect that at the end of this year and moving into next year, you'll be hearing more about the authoring and bringing a consultant on to prepare the climate action plan.
Okay. Any questions?
No, just comment. I like your road reports. It's good information for supervisors. We can tell the constituents that they're not forgotten out there, that there's actually a plan and there's things being done. And I know, Quincy, in your department, yeah, there's some underlying problems that hopefully we can resolve that you'll be able to pick up the pace even more.
Supervisor Kirk?
Yeah, just ditto what he said. I tell you guys all the time you're the most important part of government because of the roads. But just publicly thank Mike Cognetti. I've had a lot of constituents think that I'm great, and I'm like, it's not me. There's some more structure, more oversight in the roads department now. So send our love to Mike, because when you fix a pothole, it's one less email and scream phone call towards me. So thank you guys.
Supervisor Brennan?
Yeah, very quick comment, and this is with regards to all of our departments. I just want to remind the public that this is what our departments are doing on behalf of our priorities, and they are not talking about all of the other duties that they are doing and maintaining on behalf of all of our constituents, and I just need to acknowledge that.
Thank you. Supervisor Campbell?
Yeah, I've been following your progress on Phoenix Lake Road and Longeway with some of the ditching and the trenching and clearing out the culverts, and awesome news about the vac truck. I know that's a piece of equipment that we've needed for a long time, and to get it at the price point that you were able to get it is just phenomenal. It leaves extra money to put to other purposes, so that's always a good thing. But I've watched the progress on some of the major collector roads in my district, and everybody's really happy, and can't wait till it keeps continuing on. So the progress that's been made, especially in terms of drainage, which is, as you know, has always been a big issue for us, it's really noticeable. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, staff. Okay. General Services Agency, airports, facilities, and library.
Good morning. Daniel Richardson, General Services Director, here with Benny Stuth from the airport. I'm going to have Benny talk about significant construction activities out at Columbia.
Good morning. I'm here to report on the development we have out at the airport. So far, we are doing the taxi lane project that you're aware of. We're expending about $3.9 million to update dated infrastructure. To date, we are about substantially complete with about 75% of it. We expect to be substantially complete by the end of this month and complete by September. When we are going to be done, we will have addressed about 250,000 square feet of pavement at the airport, and we are so far exactly on budget.
Okay, and to be clear, this is FAA grant money, correct?
Yes, this is FAA grant money.
So it is specific to airports. I don't want people thinking that we could be paving our roads with some airport money, okay? Not the case. Go ahead.
Okay, the other two departments we want to talk about is deals with vulnerable populations. When the vulnerable populations make messes, facilities management cleans them up, and this isn't just their wares but also vandalism. And so it is a significant strain on county resources. When you talk about who ends up with it, it's facilities, and they deal with it on a daily basis. Also, the library. They have the vulnerable populations come and visit them for job applications, for literacy services, for a broadband, for getting a cool or a warm place to stay during the storms or the heat of the summer. The libraries are a refuge for them, so just wanted to make mention of them. Also, they have the bookmobile goes out to locations that don't have libraries nearby. We also send books with the Meals on Wheels. We coordinate that so those who cannot get out are able to enjoy the library services. So, thank you.
Thank you. Human Services Agency.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Steve Boyack, Human Services Agency. The Human Services Agency will be reporting out on our ambulance program, behavioral health program, our public health program, and social services. I'm here to speak to you today about our ambulance program in its association with vulnerable populations. Between January 1st and June 30th of this year, your ambulance transported over 2,000 individuals that were either on Medicare or on Medi-Cal. And as a reminder for your board, we have 4 primary payer mixes for our ambulance program, which is the Medicare population, Medi-Cal, private pay, and independent third-party insurances. Our Medicare transports and Medi-Cal transports combine about 80% of your transports. Medicare at 64%, or about 62%, and Medi-Cal at about 18%. So there is most likely a high likelihood that we would be transporting those that are very vulnerable on a daily basis. In association with being able to prepare for the public safety power shutoff program for PG&E, myself, Clarence Team, our EMS coordinator, and the CEO for Manteca District Ambulance have met to pre-plan, prepare for any type of power shutoff emergency carried out by PG&E, in the sense that we will have some type of business continuity deployment strategy if that occurs. Just for reference for your board, we have 4 ambulance stations, one at Stryker Court, one in Mono Vista, one at Forest Road, and one in Groveland. 2 of those stations have whole building power generator backup, one at Stryker Court and one at Groveland. So we will be deploying a strategy to ensure that business continuity maintains at a level of support where we will have no restrictions in operations for your ambulance concerning power shutoff. So with that, I will turn this over to Michael Wilson, our Director of Behavioral Health.
Michael Wilson, Behavioral Health Director. Good morning. And you have the presentation document, so I won't read that, but I will summarize some of the behavioral health things we've done in the last quarter or so. Behavioral health is, of course, very active in reaching out and assisting vulnerable populations. We have our core mission as a managed care plan for Medi-Cal beneficiaries, both for mental health issues, specialty mental health issues, and substance abuse. And one of our key things we've done in the past 6 months is get into contract with the state to provide drug Medi-Cal services, which will mean no-cost treatment for individuals with Medi-Cal. Behavioral health is part of the continuum of care, as was mentioned earlier, and developing the plan to combat homelessness. We also have efforts through our triage program, SB 82, to outreach to the homeless with mental health issues. And of course, there's our enrichment center, which is available to all. One of the key objectives behavioral health has is to partner and continue to collaboration with our community agencies and our internal departments as well. We have a clinician at probation, we have a clinician at CWS, and we are currently this morning replacing a clinician that works at the juvenile detention facility. It's a key thing to do if we're going to address these vulnerable populations. We can't do it alone, so it's developing those partnerships, whether it's with the superintendent's office, the sheriff, or others. We just have to keep partnering and keep maximizing our resources and not trying to do it alone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Lisa Heapstock from the Public Health Department. I'm the Programs and Services Manager there. For the vulnerable populations, our tobacco control program has been very active. They completed their EPIC Youth Coalition, which is the Empower Peers, Inspire the Community, for the year, focusing on empowering youth to make positive choices through 7 monthly leadership workshop classes, or workshop days, excuse me. They completed their Healthy Stores survey in order to gather data on resources available to residents in the county, including fruits and vegetable availability at corner stores and gas stations. They also completed the tobacco cessation training to 10 community organizations to increase trainers to help with smoking cessation for the vulnerable population, for mental health, for the behavioral health regional training, excuse me. The Housing and Disability Advocacy Program that we run housed 4 clients who are homeless. The Opioid Safety Coalition, which we partner on, focused on expanding drug take-back days, expansion of medication-assisted treatment, conducted presentation for high school students to prevent opioid disorders. The Healthcare and Safety Coalition conducted comprehensive planning for vulnerable populations, including mass care and sheltering and evacuations. The local oral health program completed their community health improvement plan to help residents with dental issues, and we provided STD presentations to high school and grade school students, as well as STD testing done at the health department. For the fire preparedness, the Tuolumne County Healthcare and Safety Coalition holds bi-monthly meetings. The May 16th meeting focused on heat seasonal readiness and pre-fire planning was completed. They also hold evacuation and shelter work group meetings after each one. Public health staff attended Red Cross shelter training meetings, as well as healthcare services and shelters should a wildfire occur. And last, we have had multiple discussions held with partners regarding potential PG&E public safety power shutoffs, so we should be ready.
Thank you. And I just want to point out that some of our Health and Human Services people volunteered at a very impromptu shelter that we had to put up at the Adventist Church, and we couldn't have done it without them. I mean, seriously, it was a very ad hoc situation, unusual. We hadn't planned for that, and without that volunteer help, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So, thank them very much. We have anybody else from Human Services Agency? I'm sorry, you snuck in on me. I guess I'm not very observant. Please.
Social Services. I want to thank you for allowing us the opportunity to share the good work that is being done by your social services staff as we perform our part of the county's vision that allows citizens to enjoy the opportunity to thrive in a safe, healthy, and productive community. As your board is aware, social services serves as a safety net for many of the most vulnerable members of our community, and one such group is our homeless families. During the first 2 quarters of this year, our department, in coordination with our housing partner, Attica, were able to provide assistance to 50 families to secure permanent or transitional housing. These 50 families represent 35 children under the age of 6 who are now able to sleep in a bed instead of on a couch or in a car. In addition, once we help stabilize low-income families, staff work closely with adults to help pave their way towards self-sufficiency. Once again, in a joint effort with a community partner, Attica, and Motherlode Job Training, we were able to put together 8 learning collaboratives. These adults, to help adults receiving welfare, also known as CalWorks, to learn the skills that they need to find a job. Some of these classes include job search skills, resume writing, and the one that we're most proud of is we had volunteers, local employers who volunteered to come in and conduct mock hiring interviews with our participants. In addition to working with families, we work very hard to mitigate hunger in our elderly and disabled population. Fortunately, recent legislation has helped us in this effort. Effective June 1st, individuals receiving supplemental Social Security insurance, also known as SSI, are able to qualify for CalFresh food assistance benefits. This is significant in our county because we have over 1,500 individuals in Tuolumne County receiving SSI benefits. So far, we have received about 400 applications. And in order to get the word out, we have conducted in-service training or in-service, training for all our community partners who also work with SSI recipients. We've done outreach efforts at the Senior Center, at Interfaith, and at Atka's Food Bank. Our outreach slogan is simple: call, click, or come in. Call us at 533-5711. Click by going online and applying for benefits there at the seeforyourself.com website, or come in to 20075 Cedar Road North. We have staff that are eager and waiting for folks to come in and apply for benefits. Many folks that come in leave the same day with benefits in hand. Once again, thank you for allowing us to share, and Corey will be concluding our social services presentation.
Thank you. I'm so lucky I get to work with this one. You know, so much of the work that we do depends on the partnerships that we have. And so Corey Allen representing Adult Protective Services, Child Welfare Services, and Public Guardian today. We are 100% steeped in supporting and coaching our vulnerable populations. What we try to do in Adult Protective Services and Child Welfare is to really partner and coach with families so that they can achieve well-being and that safety can become their number one. We saw 450 referrals that came through our doors just in child welfare in this time period. 44 children entered foster care so that they can achieve immediate safety. But 22 children returned home to families that had more resilience, that experienced well-being, and so that those children could trust that they would be well. And it takes so much work, and you can imagine what the impact is on staff when we're working in such tragic environments. But it takes a special staff. In Adult Protective Services, we had 134 elders and dependent adults that were impacted by a social worker that came to help find supports and resources for them. Some were at risk and some had been harmed. One social worker is here with me, a social worker, Hua Zhang, is in the audience. She's going to speak to you about some staff development later. But she was able to, in that work, reach out to one individual who was in harm's way, and using California federal victim services funding, was able to send him out of state so that he can be safe with family. If we do not have safe elders in our community, we are not a safe community, and that's the kind of work that we're doing every day. So thank you for the opportunity to talk about what our staff is doing, and we continue to do that great work for you.
Thank you. Any comments, questions?
They just do a great job.
They do.
They really do.
Okay. Thank you, and pass on to your entire staff. Thanks for everything they do every day. I think we are up to the sheriff's office.
Morning, Board.
Morning, Sheriff.
Chairman Rutherford. So in the last quarter, as far as the board priorities, we have focused on two major areas: fire preparedness and then our infrastructure. In fire preparedness, I attended all the wonderful 7 meetings with you folks, and we reached out to about 800 people, as Liz said earlier. In addition to that, we have done our Everbridge testing and training in preparedness for the upcoming fire season. We've also trained the entire patrol staff on evacuation preparedness. We've looked at the different areas that we know will be problem areas. Should it be the area behind Columbia up to Twainhart, those hard to reach areas, Ponderosa Hills, those types of areas. We've talked about it. We've had those discussions on what we're going to do, and we believe we're very well prepared should we need to do evacuations in that area. Since the report came out, we also had a presentation by Butte County Sheriff Honea, who came to our county and gave a presentation on lessons learned in the car fire, and it was very, very informative. This presentation was given to the entire fire task force, and I think we got a lot of great information out of it that we were able to take forward. As far as infrastructure goes, I just wanted to update you that we have moved into our new building. We've now combined evidence detectives, civil coroner, and patrol into one building. The efficiencies are already being seen. We're seeing a lot of great communication on a couple of burglaries lately, and I won't get too far into that, but it's been fantastic. And as far as economy of scale goes, we're now all purchasing from one area, and it's been really good for us. We hope to have a community-wide open house here very soon, and we'll let you know the dates on that. Any questions?
Yeah, I just want to comment. I did visit the facility yesterday with the sheriff's permission, of course. But I just have to relate for people that wonder why we did that. One of the first experiences I had in 2013 was I believe it was a swearing in of a new deputy, but there was some ceremony over where we housed our deputies, and I walked from the door to the room that the ceremony was going to be in, and I wasn't sure I was going to make it because I felt like I was going to fall through the floorboards. It was that bad a shape. So this was a very important move, and you guys have done a great job with that facility, and it is going to be a force multiplier for us, I believe, because we do have everybody in one location, and we were in two separate locations, and neither one of them was really fit for human habitation. So
Couldn't have done it without CAO, Sarah, and your input.
yeah,
as
it's
well.
and it is a good facility.
And it was my swearing in as undersheriff, just so you know.
Thank you. Anything else for the sheriff at this time? Okay.
Good.
I think you're good. Okay. I'm going to ask for public comment on anything that was presented at this time. Seeing none, I want to thank. Okay, go ahead, please. We love hearing from our public.
Well, I got a tour of the facility too, and I guess I went without the sheriff's permission. And it is awesome. Everyone should go to see that. This was amazing. This agenda packet was so fabulous. I'm so impressed. And Michael Wilson should have mentioned, at least to the best of my knowledge, we've only had 3 suicides in Tuolumne County this year that were successful. So that's a sad statistics, but it's much better than what we had last year when I believe we had 21 or 23. And we haven't had a juvenile successful suicide, I believe, in this county since 2007. And I think those are the only 2 things I would add as a comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank the staff because they had to take some time from their day-to-day work to put these presentations together. And a lot of them probably, I want to thank the supervisors, the top-level supervisors that really put their staff people out there in the public eye for this, too. And I want to thank the presenters because I know in some cases you weren't willing participants, okay? I guess I don't know why it is, but I guess it's a scary thing coming to the podium. But I want to thank everybody for the information that you presented. I think this is very important information to get out to the public so that they know what it is that you all do on a day-to-day basis and how vitally important it is to this community, everything that you do. And again, thank you for the presentations, but more than that, thank you for everything you do every single day.
Quick comment.
Yep.
CEO Riggs, appreciate the format that you made these poor people go through. But I think for the public, it's great for the public benefit to put a face to the job and when they see somebody out there in the public, they can have a better understanding of who they are and what they do. And staff did a great job, and just keep it up. You know what you're doing. We're just kind of here signing the checks. And other than that, it's what you guys do that make a difference in Tuolumne County.
I just want to put an exclamation point on, please take back to the staff how valuable this was for all of us to hear. And all of us includes our constituents. And there's a couple pieces, because oftentimes I'm asked about, someone may acknowledge that they've seen somebody who needs assistance and they don't know where to go. When we have these kinds of updates, it helps the public understand what the opportunities are, and there are a lot of opportunities. But it brings awareness around all of these topics, and that's important in helping us get the word out there. And CAO Riggs, I really also appreciate the format, and we spend 3 days every January at our retreat talking about how we move forward on some of our goals. And then the other piece that comes up is how do we communicate this? And I think this was a tremendous step in getting that word out there, and I'm going to look forward to these periodic updates. Thank you. But please take it back to your staff and really let them know how valuable this was.
Go ahead, Supervisor Campbell.
Yeah, and I agree completely with what others have said. Often we, in the public mind, your county government or any government for that matter is sort of this nameless, faceless entity. But what we've seen here today are the people that actually make our county government work, and people that are getting up every morning and working to make sure that the roads are clear, that our citizens are safe in their beds at night, that our vulnerable populations are served, and that we have the kind of services that we need to grow and thrive as a community. And it's all people. It's not some machine. It's people that have come to the podium today, and others that are out in their offices right now doing the good work to keep this community going. So, so much thanks to all of the people that have presented today, and those that aren't in the room today as well. Thank you very much.
Sure, I'll say something. Thank you. I asked Tracy if this has ever been done before, because I'm new to government, and it hasn't. So for me, when I was regular old Joe out in the streets, I always thought, what the hell does county government do? And this is a good way to put a face on it. We can share this with our constituents. We can share this with our newsletters, with homeowners associations, and say, look, this is what we've been doing this quarter. Please share. And I think it helps get the word out that our staff is doing great work with the resources, the limited resources that they have available to them. So thank you. And that's what I'll be doing with this. So thank you, guys.
Well, are you standing there for a reason, Sheriff?
Yes. I forgot to make one comment if I can.
Okay, please do.
Shameless plug, and I'll tie it into fire preparedness. So if you're interested in talking about fire preparedness, you can come down to National Night Out tonight. At 4:30, we're having a train ride for all the kids and stuff, and the U.S. Forest Service and Fire and all those folks will be there, so come down and talk about fire preparedness.
And the train rides start at 5, right?
4:30.
4:30.
All aboard, 4:30.
And then the actual event begins at?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No tickets required?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Would the clerk of the board please read our second 9 o'clock appointment?
This is a presentation on the Ptolemy County employee development for the 2019 first and second quarters.
Ms. Riggs.
Hey, good morning. So this is part of the first item, but it is really kind of a standalone type of item. So when we had our board workshop, we talked about employee development being critical to any organization, developing our staff and investing in our staff so that they have the tools to go out and provide the services necessary to serve our community, but also to let them know how important they are and that we feel they're valued and that we are supporting their development. So with that being said, if you thought the last group of people might have been a little hesitant to come up, some of those here today are even more so. So extend all that grace that you have and encourage them as they come up and begin sharing. And we will start again with administration to come up and share their experience in the last 6 months when it comes to employee development.
Okay.
I was hoping CC would save me. All right. Good morning, Chair, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm Jason Terry from the County Administrator's Office. I'm here to talk today about our experience with LEAD, a team from the County Administrator's Office, as well as HR, attended LEAD training at the Weldon Cooper Center of Public Service this early spring, two different groups. And it was amazing training. LEAD stands for Leading, Educating, and Developing. And the primary focuses of this week of training was focused on ourselves professionally, developing ourselves as leaders, as well as working within our organizations to become a high-performance organization. And what does high performance mean for us? That is a big question that they didn't necessarily give us every answer for. That's something we have to take out and work ourselves. But the premise of that being, how do we take quality service, sound financial performance, and stakeholder value and apply that to our county government and make it as efficient and beneficial to our constituents as possible? One of the first exercises we did was our Myers-Briggs exercise, and anybody that's been in our office here recently can see a lot of heads floating around on doors and desks that has a lot of buzzwords on what our positive attributes are and negative. And when I say that, for example, I'll use myself. You'll see on the left-hand side, I have things like organized and calm. Things that help me focus and perform, while on the other side, noise and change are things that distract me from performing. And as you look around our office and those who have attended LEAD and have participated in this exercise, you'll notice there's not very many of the same combination of letters. There's 16 personality types, and we pretty much represent all 16 as we go out through this organization and see all the different individuals. So that was a very beneficial exercise, one that they delved into fairly deeply for a couple of hours, as deep as you can for a couple of hours, and just kind of explained our natural differences when it comes to approaching projects and how we like to operate. Another key takeaway that at least I took, and I can only speak for myself here, is when we look at prioritizing tasks by urgency and when they need to be done. And we know that most of our leadership tasks are long range but important. And as we look at how we focus our work and how people tend to focus their work, leadership tends to be the last thing we get around to. We get to those high priority tasks that need to be done right now, and then we kind of work our way around to the less important tasks but still need to be done right now, to the less important tasks that need to be done in the future, and then finally somehow end up with the little time we have left on leadership. And one thing that they stressed and I felt was important is trying to find a little bit more of that, what they call quadrant 2 time in your daily schedule, how to focus on your leadership tasks, which will ultimately help you curb some of those quadrant 1, the tasks that need to be done right now and are very important. Getting that planning in, getting those things done. And then I guess the final takeaway, because I'm not giving the whole course here, is how do we involve everybody in the organization when it comes to our creative thinking? We live in a hierarchy in government, and hierarchy is all about control. You have your top and you have your foundation. And the problem with that when we come to creative process is that all the ideas are expected to come from those few brains at the pinnacle of the organization. And we have so many more brains along the foundation. So one key takeaway that we had from that is developing a alternate creative group movement, that there's a time and place for hierarchy, and then there's a time and place for creative thinking. And how do we separate ourselves out to facilitate creative discussion with all of our employees within the organization and pull in those ideas from folks that have the interactions with constituents every single day within their service capabilities and what their subject matter expertise is. So with that, it was a great experience. We all loved it. We all took a lot away from it. We've talked about it a lot, and we look forward to what we can continue to do with it. So.
And it's working its way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we up to the Ag Commissioner?
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Greta Shetler, and I am the Deputy Agricultural Commissioner and Deputy Sealer for Tuolumne County. The trainings that I and my staff during the last quarter are trainings that increase our knowledge and duties of our job. So we have gone to exotic insect detection training, industrial hemp sampling and testing, skimmers, which is what you find on the gas pumps that take away your identities, and then the notice of rejection, the new notice of rejection program that they're doing through California Department of Food and Agriculture. And then the one I kind of want to focus on is apiary training. They're basically, apiary training is starting to come back into the forefront again because of the honeybee problems. And so this program is actually statewide and has come back in. So we actually are able to open up the hives and look at for diseases and also to see if the hive itself is a strong hive. So that's basically what we did for the first 2 quarters of this year. So any questions?
Any questions? Seeing none.
All right,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much for your report. We're going to go to Community Resources Agency. You're solo this time.
I'm it. So Kim McFarland, Assistant Director of Public Works. I'm speaking for all of CRA. So during the first and second quarters of this year, we sent over 50 staff on training in Subdivision Map Act for the surveyors, stormwater quality for all of roads and engineering, hazardous waste handling certification for solid waste staff, on-site landslide repairs for all the engineers, cannabis regulations and their impacts for code compliance, disabled access compliance for our permit staff, and customer service-related training for staff in general. And in addition to that, our director of CRA just came back from SEI. So that's all we have.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't apologize for it. Thank you. Okay. General Services Agency. Benny.
Good morning. You get to see me again. I'd just like to point out I attend training every day at 8 a.m. when I show up to work. Okay. I'm here to report on the aviation department for the training that I went to, which was a management development program offered through the UC Davis Continuing Education Program. It was a 3-day program over a course of a month where we discussed process management and differing communication styles and dealing with very stressful situations. I think the biggest takeaway for me during this training was getting back to the basics and utilizing very simple visual aids within the workplace to track process management and a lot of the different things that we're doing. And then not get mired down into a lot of the newer stuff that can get really complex. It was great training, and I wish it on anybody I can.
And airport manager never runs into any very stressful situations, does he?
Only 364 days a year.
There you go. Okay. Thanks, Benny.
Daniel Richardson, General Services Director. Just a summary of the rest of General Services. The exciting forklift training was attended by several facilities management workers. We also trained about 30 lifeguards, 20 summer recreation workers who are they're finishing their summer recreation duties at the end of this week. I also did attend a CSAC leadership training that was excellent, as always, for those who attended the CSAC trainings. This one was specifically on leadership and leadership styles, similar to what you might get at the lead, but just a one-day training. So GSA has been heavily involved in attending and providing training to our employees who are providing services on a daily basis. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Fire. Anybody here to talk about fire? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, We'll go to Human Services. Wait a minute. There he is. Apparently, we had a little communications difficulty here, but go ahead.
Indeed. Andy Murphy, Assistant Fire Chief. So with training over the last 2 quarters with County Fire is the time that we are very active in our training, of course, being the wetter months. So we had 13 firefighters complete their volunteer fire academy. I'm trying to think of other off the cuff here.
You're training every day.
There is, indeed. EMS training, we had 8 attend EMT training. And just like you said, training every day, fire prevention, investigation, command and control, and it continues.
Yeah, and in that business, everything you do is training.
For sure.
Even the real thing is
Yep.
you're getting trained. Okay, thank you very much. Human Services Agency. Am I surprising someone else? No, there we go.
Hi, my name is Hua Zhang. I'm a social worker with Tuolumne County Adult, Child, and Family Services. I'm currently working in Adult Protective Services. So in the past 6 months, I was really fortunate to get the opportunity to attend the National Adult Independent Adult Symposium, which is done through the California District Attorneys Association. So that only happens about once a year or every 1 to 18 months. So I really got lucky to attend that 3.5-day seminar. At that training, I really got exposed more in detail on how to investigate and prosecute different types of abuse. So that covered from financial abuse, scams, physical abuse, and then really a discussion with attorneys, sheriff, law enforcement, other adult protective services agencies throughout the state, as well as medical professionals on issues related to capacity and mental illness. So that was a really good training opportunity that I got to go to.
Thank you.
Good morning, Supervisor Chairman Rutherford and members of the board. My name is Casey Bedford, and I represent the Department of Social Services. The training I attended was the SSI SSP cash out training. SSI is a supplemental. I'm kind of following up on Rebecca Espino was kind of mentioning earlier. SSI is a supplemental security income, and it's a federal program that provides monthly payments to those who have limited income and few resources. SSP is a state supplemental payment that individuals or families receive instead of food stamps, also known as CalFresh. In 1974, California opted to increase the SSP grant instead of allowing individuals to receive food stamps. This was called the cash out policy. But before June 1st, the policy prevented SSI SSP representatives from receiving CalFresh. Now, as of June 1st, they are eligible to receive CalFresh food stamps. This cash out was a huge impact to Tuolumne County residents in a positive way. The Department of Social Services expects over 1,600 new applications, with over 400 that have already been processed since June 1st. The eligibility supervisors and the deputy directors made sure that we were all properly trained and went above and beyond to teach us the tools to successfully help our clientele. We all feel very confident on how to process these SSI SSP applications due to our multiple trainings in which new policy was broken down to manageable parts. So that was good for all of us. I am truly grateful to help those who are in need, and I'm honored to have spoke with you all on this day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Rotifer and members of the board. My name is Janelle Quinn, and I also represent Social Services. In May, I attended the SAFE training, which stands for Structured Analysis Family Evaluation. And the SAFE training is a home study assessment, which is standardized home study to assist agencies in performing a thorough, structured, and uniform evaluation of families who have applied to become foster or adoptive parents. And the home study determines if a family is ready, willing, and able to become a suitable and safe placement resource for children using the criteria of safety, permanence, and well-being. This was a really valuable training to me because it's a requirement to perform my job duties. It's a requirement to be SAFE certified, but also the same tools, process, and structure are used in each and every SAFE home study, making it very difficult for a home study practitioner to cut corners or miss important issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Rotifer and members of the board. My name is Jenny Souza, and I also represent the Department of Social Services. During the last couple of trimesters when we've experienced this training, I served both at the front window as clients come in, and now I'm serving a little bit more behind the scenes, dealing every day with in-home support service people in need. And so this training has been extremely impactful. Just to give you a background, we probably process about 45 in-home support service requests every month as applications. And then at the front window, where you'll see two of us at the window, we can handle about 270 individual tasks interacting with clients in need every day between the two of us. And granted, 270 is a high day, but our minimum is never below 100. So this training was very important to me. The training I'd like to talk about the most, as the most important for me, is the SOGI training. And SOGI stands for Sexual Orientation, Gender Identity, and Expression. And this class gave me a renewed and, in some areas, new insight into our clients, but also into myself and into my coworkers. The material equipped me with specific tools to preserve our clients' dignity when they come to us in crisis. I was pretty upset to realize that, because I was trained as I was growing up to be respectful to people and to say sir and to say ma'am. Those terms of what to me are respect can be very discouraging and very disrespectful to parts of our community. I was pretty upset to learn that, because my intent was always to support and be respectful. So that's one example of what I learned in that training, and I'm adapting. I've taken all the past year's trainings home to my own family. Our household generations range from a senior in his 90s to a second grader, all of the generations in between. We have had wonderful discussions at holidays and at the dinner table about the different mindsets of poverty and abuse, and about different facets of sexual and gender identity. We've explored as a family how each of us create our own code of ethics and how all of us have implicit biases. For instance, our little one thinks that if you love dogs, you can do no wrong. So, implicit bias there, but that's okay. I firmly and passionately believe these discussions are strongly influencing the paths of the lives of my family. Our family is more open and accepting of each other, and that has been spreading to all of our contacts within our community, in the elementary schools, in the high schools, in the youth centers, in the senior centers. And that's because you've allowed us to go through this training. And I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Rotifer and members of the board. My name is Haley Hurst, and I also represent the Department of Social Services. I work in the Age Blind and Disabled Unit, and in preparation to the SSI cash out that both Rebecca and Casey talked about, I attended a training presented by Tuolumne County Behavioral Health designed to prepare us for potential situations we might experience. In the training, we learned about services provided by behavioral health. One of these is the mobile triage response. The mobile triage response partners with community members and law enforcement to provide an immediate in-person response to a person age 16 or older experiencing a mental health crisis. I also learned that there's a 24-hour crisis line available for individuals experiencing a mental health crisis. Learning about services provided by agencies in our community, whether it be ADCA, Interfaith, the Senior Center, none of the churches, they help me to better provide services to our clients. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Michelle Jaquetta. I'm a program supervisor and emergency preparedness coordinator at the Public Health Department. I've worked for the county for 17 years, and I first want to report that the Public Health Department had over 20 staff attend over 50 trainings. Some of those were required. But I'm here to let you know that I recently earned my Master of Public Administration degree from Colorado Christian University, which was an extraordinary experience. It provided me with the foundation to be a confident, courageous, ethical, and effective leader in government. Just a few of the pivotal moments during my studies included confirming the foundational importance of character and relationships, the value of community engagement and partnerships, that our employees are our greatest resource, the process of comprehensive public policy development and analysis, organizational change, ethical decision-making, transparency, and good stewardship in the management of public finances. Beyond the knowledge and skills obtained in getting my MPA, I'm dedicated to continuing education, to learn, read, research, seek wisdom, and apply what I've learned together with my experience in the strengthening of the Public Health Department and its wonderful team, and to be alert for opportunities for growth and development in my continued service to the County of Tuolumne and its residents. I'm extremely thankful for the opportunity to have participated in the employee educational program and for the opportunity to express that gratitude today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer
Morning.
Croft. I'm a program specialist in public health. As a local oral health program director, I've had the opportunity to attend a number of trainings. This is a brand new program within public health. It's about a year old. And so I've attended many trainings, but the one I'm going to talk about today is the behavioral health regional training that I attended on tobacco cessation. It was held at Black Oak Casino this last April, and administered by the University of California, San Francisco Tobacco Control Department, as well as the CDPH Tobacco Control Program. Part of the oral health required work plan for the 1920 fiscal year includes providing training to medical and dental providers on the importance of assessing patients' readiness to quit using tobacco. In cooperation with the Tobacco Control Program within our department, we're going to be holding trainings this spring for medical and dental providers to be able to implement those policies. Since I didn't have any previous experience with tobacco cessation counseling, this training provided me with a foundation and essential knowledge on topics related to patient assessment, free cessation resources, and pharmacology related to cessation. It also provided me with specific tools on implementing and developing tobacco-free policies within workplaces, county departments, anything like that. And so I'm excited to use the knowledge that I've gained to further the efforts of the Public Health Department to hopefully lower our tobacco usage rates and accomplish this part of our programmatic work plan.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Elizabeth Ramos. I'm also with the Public Health Department, and I manage a nutrition education program called CalFresh Healthy Living, formerly known as SNAP-Ed. And we recently formed a partnership with an organization called No Kid Hungry, and their goal is to end childhood hunger in America. And one of their programs is called Cooking Matters. And I recently took a training called Cooking Matters for Parents, and that training has allowed my colleague and I on my team to offer a 6-week nutrition education program and hands-on cooking program to 12 low-income parents in our community. This Thursday will be our 5th class, 5 out of 6 courses that they'll be taking. And the training allows them to learn nutrition skills and healthy eating habits so that they can create healthy meals for their families on a budget. And we have a partnership with AmeriCorps through our Family Visitation Center here at the county that we're delivering this training through, and also with the Maternal, Child, and Adolescent Health Program. We're partnering with them as well. They funded the groceries that are required of us to provide to the parents taking the course. So they take the class, we send them home with groceries. There's no risk to them. They can try some recipes out and on their families and see how it goes without spending any money of their own. And we've got students that will be graduating next week, and we hope to offer this program throughout the year as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Probation?
They were here, but
Apparently they had to go probate. No probation. Okay, Sheriff? Just for the record, probation did a lot of training.
Good morning, Board. I'm going to give our presentation on behalf of our employees. They're all working, or I didn't want to pay them overtime to be here. So, in addition to our in-house and ongoing briefing trainings, we sent 19 individuals to training during this time frame. The majority of that was our dispatchers, where we trained and implemented the EMD, emergency medical dispatch. It allows the dispatchers to provide instructions for medical aids, and I can tell you without a doubt we've had at least 4 lives saved since this program. We're very proud of that fact. We had STOP training. STOP training is our basic 40 hours. It gets all the minimum mandates that post requires out of the way in 1 week. It does domestic violence. It does a whole bunch of DTAC and different things to do. We had a supervisor course, which was required and mandated. We did do a DTAC, or defensive tactics, I'm sorry, I'm talking like a cop, defensive tactics instructor course that allows us to train our people in-house, and we don't have to pay another agency to train us or go to a class. We did an officer-involved shooting course. We did a homicide course, interview and interrogation course. We did the boating under the influence course, and one of our individuals completed their criminal justice management course for their Bachelor of Science degree. And probably one of the things you've seen recently within our Facebook posts is our active shooter training. We provide active shooter training, and we also did the SWAT team training as a combined entity at the local school here. I think if you look at what's happened over the past week, it's very timely. You look at the response times of the one in Texas was 6 minutes. Our average response time is 12 minutes for an emergency response, and we need these folks to be trained to be able to protect themselves until we get there, and it's very important that we do that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, any public comment on any of this? Okay, I'm going to bring it back to the board. Start down. Any board member want to talk about? Okay, I got a comment. If you're wondering why we do all this training, haven't we figured out what our job is by now? Okay, just remember that there are hundreds of legislators and probably hundreds to thousands of agencies out there with tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of employees whose daily job is to write laws and regulations that tell us all how to do our job and tell us how not to do our job, tell us what our job is, and that changes on a daily basis. Our playing field is an ever-changing playing field. So not only do we have to mature our staff to be better leaders and managers of the processes that allow us to do our jobs, but we have to keep up to date with that ever-changing playing field. So it's vital that we do that. It's vital that we put in the effort. Quite frankly, when we were cutting costs as we're about to do again. But when we were cutting costs because of the economic downturn, some of that had to go by the wayside. We're fortunate this year that we made it a priority. We started putting some of it back in, and I'm convinced personally, and I think I can speak for the whole board, that effort is vital to our people providing the best possible services to our community. So just remember all those people whose job it is to tell us how to do our job when you're wondering why we're investing your money on getting our people trained. So thank you very much. And Tracy, thank you, as everybody's already said, for putting these two agenda items together. I think it's very informative to the public. And with that, we're going to take a 10-minute break, and we'll come back for our 10 o'clock appointment at 11 o'clock. Not too bad. Okay, staff report.
Good morning, Denise Zitnick, junior engineer. In 2013, the board considered 7 potential utility underground projects. Tuolumne Township was the highest priority, and that's why this one is before you today. The county accumulates work credits to be used on the undergrounding of overhead utilities under the California Public Utilities Commission Rule 20A program. The county's 2019 credit balance exceeds the estimated cost of undergrounding within the proposed Tuolumne Townsite project. This credit balance is able to be reallocated if we don't use it after a certain period of time. The Tuolumne County Ordinance authorizes the Board of Supervisors to designate a underground utility district by resolution following a public hearing. At the public hearing, the board will identify if the public necessity, health, safety, or welfare requires removal and underground installation of utilities within the designated area. To emphasize, the undergrounding of utilities improves aesthetics and reduces service outages. Just a note. The proposed district includes a portion of Chestnut Ave, Bay Ave, Fir Ave, Hodge, Willow, Main Street, Pine Street, and Carter. This polygon encloses the civic and public recreation areas of Tuolumne, and we sent notices to anyone who's impacted in this area or will be impacted due to the proposed undergrounding. The attached resolution will establish December 31st, 2025 as the date all existing overhead facilities within the underground district boundary must be removed and installed underground. On this date, affected property owners must be ready to receive underground service. Financial impact. PG&E and the other utilities cover the cost of undergrounding through their Rule 20A work credit balance. I confirmed with our PG&E liaison that the 2019 allocation is over $9 million, and annually this increases by approximately $300,000. The county is permitted to borrow 5 years into the future allocations at a time to supplement these project costs. The estimated cost of the project is $8,150,000, and staff time can be recouped through fees charged to the utility. The street lighting within the underground utility district will be covered on a one-for-one basis using that Rule 28 allocation that's already included in that estimated $8 million. But the county, through its lighting district, may choose to install new decorative light poles, fixtures, or new street lights in conjunction with the project. Any new installations, we would have to, the lighting district would have to cover the conduit undergrounding for that, because I know there were some questions last time. So it is recommended that your board, after holding a public hearing, adopts the resolution designating the Tuolumne Townsite Underground Utility District.
Okay, before I open up the public hearing, are there any questions of staff?
Yeah, I have one question. So I think it's great. I'm all in favor of it. Has there been any effort to incorporate broadband internet infrastructure in this project, working with some of the ISPs in the area? The question was raised when we discussed this the last time regarding that, and I wanted to see if was there any movement in that direction. What would it take to incorporate that? Because between now and we have about 6 years before this is going to be completed, so there's a time frame window there to do that kind of work. What would it take? And it just seems like Tuolumne Township is an area where that would benefit greatly from improved broadband internet infrastructure. And if we're already digging into the ground, might as well get as much infrastructure down there as possible.
Sure. No.
Question.
Okay, so there is coordination efforts. We could reach out to those agencies and let them know of our project. I believe there are some agreements, and I would let council refer if you're going to do any type of joint trenches with those different facilities. But that is feasible. We can send it out. I can't promise that they want to, and that would be coordinated. Sometimes they have their own regulations, their own policies that they will have to go through their formalities, and the coordination of time could work out or it could not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in my mind, and other board members may have a different opinion, but I think it's worth the effort to at least reach out to internet service providers and to see if there's any possibility to incorporate broadband infrastructure with this project, since it's covering the same kind of ground.
So we had this discussion a number of years ago about any time that we opened up a ditch to try to make sure that we would make some provisions for internet services. I don't remember the time frame, but I do remember the subject. I don't know if it was through the power agency, but we've had this discussion before that we don't want to lose sight of the opportunity to do that if necessary. It makes no sense to dig a hole and not be able to throw a piece of pipe in it if we can at the time. That's the most inexpensive thing that we could possibly do to any project. It's digging the hole that is the cost. So.
Okay. And I was just going to say, I know there's a Farm Bureau bill that passed. I think it was November or December last year. I think it's $422 million, specific for rural areas. So maybe if we could connect Frontier, some of those broadband carriers with that farm, maybe we could go after some grant money from the federal side. If it's not in it for them for money, maybe we could somehow connect the dots. So if that would be worth looking into.
Okay.
I know there's that money. There's federal money out there.
Yeah, I think the consensus of the board, if I'm hearing it right, is let's make every effort to make sure that we give broadband service providers the opportunity to participate with us when we're doing this.
Yeah, and I don't want to lose sight of John's comment anytime we have this opportunity.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I know we've had this conversation before. I remember it also.
Absolutely. Okay, anything else from the board? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing. Any public comments?
Good morning, Kathleen Half. I'm candidate for District 4 Supervisor. And in the past, I was the grant manager for Central Sierra Connect Broadband Consortium. It was for 5 of the foothill counties to help broadband infrastructure projects, help them move along, get grants from the California Advanced Services Fund. And some of the things I learned may be helpful here. And the most important thing for staff to know is, yes, reaching out to Frontier is very important. However, if Frontier continues not to respond, that's their designated area. They've got that area covered, and it's my understanding that no other ISP can come in. So if they're not responding, I would advise that a report be made to the CPUC, the California Public Utilities Commission, for their non-response. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dave Anderson, I'm the general manager of the Tuolumne City Sanitary District, and I just want to advise your board that the board of directors is in support of the formation of this underground district. It's a very important program. Tuolumne City is a historic community, and this undergrounding would help maintain that area as a historic community. We also support the lighting district in its formation of, let's say, the older style lamps in the community to make it more in style with the area in Tuolumne City. So again, we support that. Just for your information, we'll be involved in some extensive underground utility sewer system, collection system being constructed in the next over the next 3 or 4 years. So we'll be also involved in tearing up the streets. So the only thing I could just ask is, boy, those roads in Tuolumne City are pretty bad. So hopefully after we get some of this repair work done, we can to work on repairing those roads. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing, bring it back to the board. Supervisor Kirk, I believe this is in your district?
Yes. Do I have to read the entire resolution? Okay, then I will move that we adopt the resolution designating the Tuolumne Town Site Underground Utility District.
Okay, do I have a set? Okay, I've got a motion by Supervisor Kirk, a second by...
Do we want to add the caveat that we'll endeavor?
I believe that we gave staff direction to always do that. Okay. Second by Supervisor Gray. Any other issues? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? 5-0. Would the clerk of the board please read, I've lost track, our item number 9.
This is consideration of approving certificate of recognition honoring the American Legion on its 100th birthday.
Morning, Daniel Richardson, General Services Agency Director. Your board in May adopted a resolution honoring the 100-year legacy of the American Legion, their birthday, and we would like to honor them with not just a resolution, but also with a certificate of recognition. So today we're wishing that your board would adopt this certificate of recognition honoring the American Legion on its 100th birthday.
And just for the record, I'll read the recommended certificate into the record. County of Tuolumne honors the American Legion's 100-year legacy. This great American institution was chartered by Congress in 1919 and continues to stay strong to its roots as a patriotic, mutual help, wartime veterans organization. This community service organization, which now numbers nearly 3 million members worldwide, both men and women, boasts nearly 15,000 posts. The local Smith-Bolter Post 58 honors Tuolumne County in their engagement with youth organizations and by providing financial assistance to Tuolumne County veterans. The American Legion is an important part of the fabric of this great nation. They subscribe to the creed to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, to maintain law and order, and to foster and perpetuate 100% Americanism. Thank you for a job well done. So with that, do I have any public comment? Bring it back to the board.
Move that we approve the recognition.
Okay. Okay, I've got a motion by Supervisor Gray, a second by Supervisor Campbell. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? It passes 5-0. Would the clerk of the board please read item number 10?
Consideration of approving correspondence in response to the fiscal year 18-19 grand jury report on the county jail.
Okay. There's a pair to draw to.
All right. Good morning. Tracy Riggs, County Administrator's Office, and with me is Sheriff Pooley. So the item before you today is in regards to the grand jury report that was for fiscal year 2018-19 that was issued on the jail. This report this year was very different than what we've had in previous years in that they didn't specifically ask for the board to respond to every item as they may have done in the past. So this time what we've been looking at is there are specific instances in which your board must respond, and that is outlined in your memo. The only item within the jail grand jury report, just so you know, your board was not asked to respond. But because they did speak to, and I have that outlined in your memo, they did speak to budgetary or personnel matters of a county agency that is headed by an elected department head, it does require your response. There's only one item that speaks to budgetary or personnel items, and it is finding one and recommendation one. And essentially what they had said within their grand jury report was that the jail was currently understaffed by 4 officers, and that with the opening of the new jail in 2019, additional officers will be needed to be hired. And then the recommendation was that we would recruit and fill those vacancies. So I did spend some time talking with Sheriff Pooley and also reading what he submitted, which is attached to your board item as well. And when you look at that, and what I'd like to do is kind of defer to Bill to talk about what the requirements are in his jail. I just took what he had relayed to me and put those into a recommendation for a response, but I would like him to be able to speak to that himself.
So she's specifically speaking to staffing ratios and staffing requirements. The state of California does not require county jails to have a staffing ratio. As you know, all jails vary in types. Is it direct supervision or non-direct supervision? Is it a pod? Is it a dorm? It does speak to if we have a female in custody, we need to have one female staff on at all times. If we have one inmate in custody, we have to have one deputy in custody, but there are no specific ratios. The ratios that we have within our office are set by a couple of variables, the safety of staff, safety of the inmates, and our ability to provide programming to those inmates. Those are the three things we look at when we set the staffing ratios.
Okay.
So with that being said, the finding that they had that it was understaffed was specifically, as Bill and I discussed this, there were some vacancies during the time at which they toured the facility. And as the sheriff always does, he's very creative and diligent in filling those positions, and those positions, not physicians. Those positions have been filled since that time, but I just want to make sure that your board and the grand jury and our community understand that those positions had been allocated by the board. There were just vacancies, which is a natural part of staffing any type of organization. And since that time, he has filled those positions. All of the other issues in which they speak to, your board is not required to answer, but because we're speaking to it overall, I have added those to your response. And most of them have to do, they talk about having, and one of the findings, that there were some safety issues that were not corrected from the 17-18 and grand jury report, and speaking with the sheriff, those have been corrected, and that they actually did pass inspections by both public health and environmental health, and that there appeared to be a lack of adherence to security protocol. Again, I would defer to the sheriff, but the way they don't specify any security protocol, and the information that they were provided that was out in front of others would be provided to anyone else, from what I understand. So there wasn't anything that was there was no security that was breached in that instance of what they're specifying. And I don't know if you wanted to speak more on that, Bill, or.
The incident they were specifically talking to was a conversation we had in the public lobby, and everything within that conversation was open to the public. Things that we would actually want the public to know. We want them to know, be able to know where to go get information and the processes within the lobby. So I was there for most of it, and we did not have any security breaches.
Okay, then the final items had to do with training for staff. And if you've spent any time in the sheriff's office or with the sheriff, you know that he's diligent in training his staff and making sure that training happens on a very timely schedule. And then the other one had to do with the services offered to the inmates while they are in the facility. And there's a wide array of services that are offered, from education to rehabilitative type services. And those are listed out, and they're listed out within the sheriff's response to the grand jury as well. So unless you have any other questions or changes you would like to direct us to make or me to make within the response, I'm happy to do that. Otherwise, we're asking that you would approve the attached response to the grand jury, and we will get that in the mail and the chair can sign.
Okay, public comment? Staff? Board? Anything? Looking for a motion?
Second.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Gray, second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. Opposed? Abstain? 5-0. Thank you, Sheriff. And CAO. Would the clerk of the board please read item, I think we're up to 11.
Consideration of providing staff direction on various revenue options to stabilize and enhance county fire services.
Staff report.
Good morning. Maureen Frank, Deputy County Administrator. With me My colleagues, Andy Murphy and Liz Peterson, and I will present this item to your board. The item in front of you is basically revenue options for stabilizing and enhancing Tuolumne County Fire Service. As your board is aware, on June 11th, 2019, staff came before you and did a comprehensive report in regards to an analysis done by the Matrix Group regarding fire service in the county. At that time, that study and what staff presented, we really looked at the organizational structure and really looked at ways we can become more substantially stable in the delivery of fire service. At the conclusion of that presentation, we really looked at going towards what staff was directed to start working towards was a consolidated fire department. And the first step in that process is to really look at county fire and the fire services and look at the funding for fire services. As you know, right now as we're about to enter into our budget hearings coming up tomorrow, currently county fire, as their budget analyst, is their budget right now is basically stripped. I have been what I recommended in my analysis of it is really taking them down below the levels that we feel comfortable with, and at that they're still in the hole $500,000. So we believe it's imperative to come before your board to look at various options in trying to stabilize county fire and the funding for it. Andy, Liz, and I will go over each of the options that were outlined in your board memo and talk about what other jurisdictions are doing in regards to recover costs for fire services. Some of the items that we will be presenting to you don't necessarily provide revenue generation. But we feel they're a necessary item in order to provide good information to first responders to enable them to be better prepared to respond to incidents. Other revenue options will do generate revenue and are needed really to look at our equipment resources and to be able to provide our primary services that we want, our mission for county fire. With that, I'll start out with the first revenue option staff would like to present to your board, and that one is development impact fees. These are fees that are placed on new development projects to help offset potential impacts that project would pose on the fire department. So even though as we grow as a county, these projects might fit in with the general plan, they do have impacts on our county fire service. And we need to have some type of system that we're able to keep up with them. There is an expectation from our community that we are going to be able to respond to emergencies and be there when they're needed. And we can't do it if we keep authorizing or approving future development without any kind of looking at increasing or being able to have the necessary equipment and resources to provide those actual fire services. These fees are focused on future impacts, as I mentioned, and ensure services and to adequately meet the issuance of increased delivery to these new developments. Development impact fees are utilized by many jurisdictions, for example, we've included in your memo examples of this impact of the development impact fees from Calaveras County, El Dorado County, Riverside County, City of Manteca, Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District, Shasta County are all items that we included in your Exhibit A. These fees are based on multiple criteria, and the rates for these usually vary between residential development and non-residential development. They can be levied on both the square footage, a unit, or an acreage. Outlined in your memo, we have a table from Calaveras County who just recently, this last month, I believe, new impact development fees. And if we took the same numbers that they use and implemented, and we used our figures of Tuolumne County, for example, Tuolumne County development in 2018, we would have collected, if we had imposed similar development fees, we would have collected $189,236.32, just for an example of what they're doing. These funds, it's up to your board on how you want to see these funds. They could be dedicated just strictly to county fire, to offset the cost of dispatching services and fire investigation services. Typically, right now, the county fire pays for all of the dispatching services for all the fire districts in the county, and we also provide fire investigation services throughout the whole county. And this is something that our district firefighters depend on us to be able to provide those kind of services. You could also decide that, depending on where the development is, that this fee be distributed to those fire districts in which the development occurred. So that's up to your board. And that's basically what a development impact fee is, and plain and simple. And I'll toss it over to Andy to talk to you about the next revenue.
Good morning again. Andy Murphy, Assistant Fire Chief for County Fire. So a couple of items on this topic, the business licenses and the mandated and non-mandated fire code and life safety inspections. I know you've read the memo, and I'll highlight some of the important factors there and additional comments. So most areas, or many areas, have business licenses, and and I'll tie that in with the correlation with fire protection. So most areas have business licenses, and with them is an associated fee that covers just the staff time to do the clerical work, administration, and monitoring of that business fee. There are many benefits of having a business license for public safety, primarily, in that we gather information on the business license, property owner, location, type of business, hazards that are important in our work in providing for the safety of the public. With the business license fees, as I said, they cover the time, administrative time for the position, for tracking the document or the business license and the business information. Some of the additional benefits of having the business license and the business license is not just the information, the demographics about the property owner and the business, the location of where and how various products are stored, status of sprinkler systems and fire extinguishers on the premises, and the safety of the building for not just the employees, but the public and first responders as well, and that's all first responders. So the other part of that and why that information is needed is, as I mentioned, there's two other types of inspections that fire prevention bureaus, which is fire prevention being one of our, besides putting fires out, is our priority, is doing the mandated fire code and life safety inspections and the non-mandated. So mandated fire code and life safety inspections. Now let me go back just a bit to the business licenses. In the board memo is an example of some of the fees that are charged in surrounding counties for the business administration of the business license. So in order to go forward with the business license, which from this meeting if approved, we'll gather the necessary information, determine what those recommended fees would be, and bring back to the board. In most other areas, the fee is collected through the treasurer and tax collector's office. There was some discussion on where it should be done, and that seems like the vast majority are done through that office. So back to the fire code and life safety inspections. I think we can all look back at tragedies in the past that could have prevented been prevented around the country. I mean, there's a few significant fires that firefighters learn all about when we first start our education. Our Lady of Angels, the shirt coat waste factory fire, and then several other fires. And even in the last decade, there's been the Charleston sofa store factory fire where there were 9 fatalities, all firefighters. And then most recently, the Ghost Ship fire in Oakland. All these fires, or these fires and many other fires not mentioned, remind us of the importance of fire prevention and inspection. As I mentioned, fire prevention being our primary mission, along with extinguishing fires. Currently, we do the county fire department does mandated fire code and life safety inspections only on certain occupancies. Those are mandated by code, and that's hotels, multifamily residential apartments, and schools, and different high occupancy establishments. We do those, but there's no reimbursement to the county for those inspections that are required by law. The code does allow for there to be a charge in place for reimbursement. Again, it's not revenue, it's reimbursement for time spent. The other part of that is the proactive fire prevention inspection program for the other non-mandated businesses. There are a myriad of examples we could talk about, but simple things like, making sure that the exits aren't blocked or locked, that the fire extinguishers are up to date, that the sprinkler system is connected to a water source, that the fuels at fueling stations are stored appropriately. I mean, there's just a few things that have been found on these inspections, and these are with appointments being made knowing that we're coming. So it's important for, like I mentioned, not just the employees, but the customers, the business owners, and public safety for there to be a proactive fire code and life safety inspection. So there's a few examples mixed in with Attachment A, and additional information on some of the inspections that are done at different jurisdictions. And if approved to move forward, we would research those different and what's applicable to Tuolumne County, not just now, but into the future. I think that's it.
Okay, so another option for your board that we're asking your board to consider today is false fire alarm fees. It's a fairly small portion of calls that Tuolumne County Fire receives, but the sheriff's office, they have the authority to charge a fee each time a burglar or robbery alarm system falsely renders an alarm, and so we're recommending charging a similar fee for false fire alarms. Again, this is just about cost recovery for services that are already provided. And it also would, hopefully it would be a deterrent and would encourage folks who have alarm systems to keep them maintained and updated properly so that this kind of thing doesn't happen in the future. Within the Tuolumne County Fire jurisdiction in 2018, there was a total commercial and residential false fire alarm calls of 104 for the year. So, when you think about the time that it takes for our first responders to gear up, get out there, realize it's just a false alarm, we'd like to minimize those if possible. So.
Okay, next we'll discuss another option or idea is the first responder fee for medical and non-residents. So the principal rationale of a first responder fee is that in the county fire service area, throughout fire departments nationwide, really, the roles of the fire departments have expanded well beyond putting fires out, which we could have a long discussion on Prop 13, but that that whole job that fire departments did in 1978 has expanded drastically. One of those things, and one of those, probably the largest part of what fire departments do, is, for most fire departments, 60 to 70% or greater, is medical calls. So the idea behind this fee would be to reimburse the department for services provided that have, like I said, generally expected to be covered under property-related taxes, to a combination of now shifting towards property taxes and user fees. The fee, there's one option. There's several different models out there. One option is to charge the insurance company of the person, the patient in medical need or being evaluated, to charge that insurance company a fee, whatever the fee. Again, it's service related, it's reimbursement, and then not go after one of the ways that some of the departments do it is they just submit it to the insurance company. Whatever the insurance company is what they accept. There's several different models that are out there and done in other jurisdictions. Abbott's Pass Fire District has a similar. Some of the other districts in the valley have some for non-resident. Most of them are non-resident fees for non-residents, and those would all be studied further if given the go-ahead to research this. One thing that's important to note is, as you can imagine, with Medicare and Medi-Cal, we heard about the number of patients, and then other insurances, there's caps on different charges, and a response fee can be charged for this, it can't be charged for that. So we'd have to closely measure how this would reimburse the county for time spent, because it's not just time spent responding to the emergency, but also the time, administrative time, and tracking and billing for this. So we'd have to research all that as part of this this idea. The next ties in with the false alarm fee is a public assist to care facilities, and just really the impact of residential care facilities on the first responder system in the county. These are mostly service calls, false alarms, and public assist. This ties in with that. We're increasingly responding to both emergencies and non-emergencies at residential care facilities. And there are, as an example, Station 51 in Mona Village, last year, over 25% of their call volume were to 5 residential care facilities, emergency and non-emergent response. One of the issues and what brought this to mind for the group was that oftentimes that the fire departments are called to assist the employees in lifting patients back into their bed. And the concern, one of the concerns is that then this is shifting responsibility of that business literally onto the backs of public employees. So ensuring that they have the proper staff and proper equipment is the goal. While those calls don't make up a large number of these, there is a small, or not a small, but there is an impact to the fire protection in the county from non-emergent calls. As you can see in the document, over 4,400 incidents in the last 10 years, and last year there were about 700 altogether for county responses. So you can just visualize that steep increase in calls per year. One of the impacts of this is that it diverts, for these non-emergent calls to public care facilities, is that it diverts much, let's say much needed, but much already utilized resources from other emergencies, and oftentimes it puts the engine company out of position out of their station to respond to other emergencies. So that's an impact. If your board is interested in addressing the impacts of these care facilities, we'd have to look at a couple of things here. One is what the true impact is of residential care facilities is on the county emergency response system, and appropriately determining a mitigation fee. There are some, not that we're recommending this, but it needs further study. There are some jurisdictions that administer a fee, an annual fee to residential care facilities that no way reimburses for the amount of calls to the location, but it does help some offset some and offsets, and hopefully guides or helps the business owners decide what the proper level of staffing is for their facility. The other would be an implementation of a fee for non-emergency calls like public assist and lift assist. And of course, we would need to do a fee study to determine what those rates or fees would suggest it to be.
I have one I didn't want to interrupt your flow, but I have one question on that element. Would this be a fee that looks specifically at, say you use the example of somebody who falls out of bed and needs help to get back in it. Would this be specifically tailored to these residential care facilities and not, so if somebody fell out of bed at home, called 911, they wouldn't be assessed the fee?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so one thing that we hear a lot, I'm sure your board hears a lot too, when we look at fees for anything, especially services, emergency services, we hear from kind of local residents saying, well, I hope that the out-of-towners are paying their fair share before you go and put something, on us folks who live here. And so we want to talk about an option for your board to consider. A public safety fee is what we're calling it. This would essentially be assessed to tourists or those coming to visit our area to mitigate the costs of providing first responder services to folks who don't live here. So we're proposing to add a fee to each person's hotel room as well as their RV or campsite registration cost, their nightly rate. So it would be nominal, but it would be per room per night, or per site, I guess, per night. Okay, so just from very rough estimate numbers here, we are assuming that there are about 900 hotel rooms within the county's jurisdiction. And if we took into account about a 60% occupancy rate, if we were to add a $1 public safety fee to every room, that would give us $197,100 per year. If we added a $5 fee, that would generate $985,500 on an annual basis. And then looking at RV and campsites, again, these numbers are very rough. The data isn't exactly super recent, but just ballparks, $1 fee could generate $255,500 annually, assuming the sites are occupied 33% of the year.
Could I include something quickly there? Airbnbs and sure, also the rentals by owners. And those.
And we have our host compliance contract already that we collect our TOT to make sure we collect our TOT. So absolutely, that's something we could add in.
Right.
So, So while we're interrupting, I was going to wait, but I'm not. I'm going to go back to a business license fee, okay? If we're going to go down that road, there are other benefits that the county government gets besides the money. I mean, there's just understanding of what we have out there in terms of business infrastructure and those kinds of things. If we go down that road, we want to talk to our assessor recorder. We want to talk to the real estate and industry. We want to talk to various people, probably our economic development director, because there are other reasons to have a business license fee or a business license, which brings the fee in, that would benefit us greatly. There's a whole universe of stuff out there in this unincorporated area that we really don't understand as well as we would like to. So just something to put in the back of your cranium when you're thinking about this.
Yeah, and the business license really is just pure cost recovery for some admin time.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not about raking in dough. It's really about to get pertinent information. Yeah.
But it gives us a database, a knowledge base that we really do need to have, and so there's other reasons to do it, and it would enable, if we wanted to do those other fees for the inspections and stuff like that, it would give us the database to know where we need to be doing those. So.
Yeah, one thing that's in your board memo that I think is just important to highlight is that we feel that we cannot do the mandated or the life safety inspections as we have outlined in the memo unless we have a business license to get that kind of information from businesses.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the last revenue generation proposal before you for consideration, and probably the biggest one out there, is a fire parcel benefit assessment or a fire parcel tax. There's very small nuances in regards to the two of them, and let me just explain the difference. As noted in your memo, the fire parcel benefit assessment would be used exclusively to fund county fire options. It's a parcel assessment would require a simple majority plus one and is voted on just by the property owners. One of the requirements of the parcel benefit assessment is to do an engineer's report, and the engineer's report would provide in very detailed accounting on how the proposed parcel benefit would add benefit of the service to the community. This detailed report would then have to be on a yearly basis reported back to your board. We would have to provide information to the community on how we were doing in regards to the expenditure of those funds. One of the drawbacks of a parcel assessment fee is that it can be easily repealed with a simple majority. If we were to go with a fire parcel tax, the tax would be assessed on parcels on an annual basis, just like in with the benefit assessment, but it would be based on this. The tax would require 2/3 majority of the registered voters. No engineer's report would be required, but something that I know staff is committed to, and I know your board is very committed to the community, is reporting back exactly how funds would be expended that would be garnered through this measure. This would be a simple flat fee, whether we go with a benefit assessment or a fire parcel tax. Like I said, it would be imposed on parcels that contain structures. And then as far as the breakdown, some communities that we looked at had very simple assessments, whether it was just developed or undeveloped. Some of them would have, depending on, they would have multiple rates based on the residence. Was it multifamily? Was it a commercial industrial? Was it mobile home or trailer parks? Was it agricultural land, vacant land, agricultural buildings, motels or hotels? So the board can create and design this any way that they feel is necessary. What was recommended to us as we talked to various communities that had a benefit assessment or a parcel tax was that you would want to put in there a CPI on the flat rate so it continued to grow as increased cost for resources and equipment grew within the county fire budget. As noted, many jurisdictions have parcel fees, and those communities include Twain Harte Community Service District, Sugar Pine Fire Protection District, Stanislaus County, Mariposa County, Calaveras County, and Mono County. As we just talked about, there's a variety of things to take into consideration in developing a parcel fee, and in that, the board would be able to come up with a variety of things. As a way of an example, what staff did is for just county fire jurisdiction, there's approximately 27,275 parcels. And if we were to just look at a flat rate, county staff and their analysis didn't didn't judge whether there was a structure on it or what type of structure or what type of a facility it was. Just to give you an example, we did a flat parcel fee, and we looked at 3 various options for your board, and it can be any number of a dollar figure. We just used these 3 as a way of example to show you what a parcel fee of X amount could garner. So we looked at $75, $110, and $130 with a CPI of capped at 2%. And when we looked at these 3 options, we were really concentrating on the following priorities, and those priorities were to stabilize county fire budget. As I noted earlier in the presentation, we currently are $500,000 out of this current fiscal year. We looked at capital reserve and looking at future replacements. For capital, we have some fire stations that are willfully inadequate and need replacements or improvements to those structures. Equipment replacement, and of course, as you heard during the Matrix study, our vehicle fleet for fire is also in bad shape. And with that, if you just took, as we said, those basic parameters, a parcel fee of $75 would garner a little over $2 million. $110 parcel fee would garner a little over $3 million. And at $130, it would garner $3.5 million, if you will. And with that, what I want Andy to do is we created funding plans, 10-year funding plans for each one of those 3 options, and I'll have him go over what we can anticipate with those funding plans.
Thank you. So if you look at attachment B, the proposed parcel benefit assessment parcel tax expenditure plan, there's a couple of these different scenarios. So the bottom line is this number, whatever the number, if we move forward on this, is going to be based on a goal. So in combination, none of these ideas presented today are the silver bullet. So in combination with the other items presented before you for consideration, has an effect on what this number will be. So we've determined we need to get approximately a certain amount per year to meet the needs of the community, and this is 3 different scenarios, and they're just examples. They're not exactly a plan of what we would do, but it's an outline of what we could do with the different dollar amounts. And so as we talked about and have been talking about for several months is the fleet. The fleet right now, 15 of the 23 engines are past the National Fire Protection Association recommended lifespan. And then by 2023, another 5 engines will be. And then at that point, it's getting pretty dire. And it's not just that they've reached a year span, as I've mentioned before, it's the fact that the safety improvements on those vehicles, the ability and response times of the volunteers and paid staff to respond to incidents throughout the county is a big factor. So, and in these documents, when we talk about stabilizing, as Mo had mentioned, stabilizing means properly supporting the current operations. So the first in each one of these blocks is stabilized county fire budget, and that includes not just the current funding gap, but additional cuts that have been made through the years, and just properly supporting the fire department. So these other ideas, and I'll do a brief synopsis for each one, trying to set aside a vehicle reserve plan and establishing a replacement cycle so that in 15 or 20 years, we're not back here saying we need X amount of dollars to replace the whole fleet. The goal is to get on a cycle. So at $75 a parcel, it was a typo on the last page of that first section. It's actually $75 a parcel in 2030 by these 27,000 plus properties. At that time in 2030, vehicle-wise, 7 engines and 1 water tender, which are listed below, are left to be replaced in 2030, some as much as 32 years old. Equipment-wise, after 10 years, only mandated self-contained breathing apparatus have been replaced. Those have a lifespan on them and what their acceptable use is, which is in 2 years is when they expire. So we've been putting a few grants in on that, just as a side note. After 10 years, only $74,000 has been placed in vehicle reserves, and no new fire stations have been built or remodeled. The next scenario is $110 a parcel. And by 2030, vehicle-wise, 4 engines and 1 water tender are left to be replaced in 2030, some as much as 29 years old. Equipment-wise, self-contained breathing apparatus has been replaced, and some automatic vehicle locators, which aids in closest resource dispatching, have been installed. There's no money in vehicle replacement or capital reserve, but 2 new fire stations have been built. And then at $130 a parcel, by 2030, all vehicles and equipment have been replaced. In this scenario, within 7 years, equipment-wise, all necessary and needed equipment has been purchased, including breathing apparatus and automatic vehicle locators. So approximately $3 million remains in a vehicle replacement reserve to get on to that schedule we had discussed. 10 years, 2 new fire stations have been built, and preparing for the future, funds remain in the reserves to build additional fire station and fund future needed additional equipment and purchases.
So with that, we've also, Andy and I have had discussions with several of the fire districts within the county, and several have expressed interest if the county is going to go down this path and consider either a benefit assessable or a parcel tax, that they'd be interested in participating with us to help them out. So with that.
Okay. Supervisor Gray.
With that, you guys are done. You said with
Yes,
that. Okay, I don't want to interrupt again. Looking at the present insurance climate that we have right now, we see, I've been a victim of triple my insurance on a piece of property a quarter mile from the fire station in Sonora here. And it's kind of hard to accept, but what are you going to do? The question I have is that, if we go to this improvement route, and it appears to me that the parcel fee is the least complicated of most anything, but it does take, voter approval, is that would it have the possibility of improving our insurance? Say, we used to do the ISO ratings. I know it's not done the same or not, but could we assume that there's a good possibility that it would help with those insurance costs?
That's hard to say. So each insurance company being different and the different scales that they're using now, I think the work that the county's doing with the associations are is going to have tremendous impact. These improvements do have an effect on the ISO rating, which is what used to be the guideline for many residential and commercial. It still does apply, but it's not necessarily the first thing that the insurance companies look at. They do altogether. They make the community more safe.
Yeah, that's the point I was trying to get to. $100 a year for me on a parcel versus a $2,000 increase per year on insurance is a pretty easy trade-off for me to accept. So, anyway. Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'm going to open up public comment.
Chairman Rutherford, members of the board, CEO Riggs. David Goldenberg again here. A couple of questions. Should I direct them to staff as they describe this, or to the board?
I would ask you to direct them to the board. We'll direct them to staff if we need help.
Question regarding the basically the public safety fee does the county have any numbers that differentiate on call volume now between the amount of calls that are county residents versus visitors, so to speak?
No? Do we?
I believe the ambulance HSA keeps statistics on transports, but I can't speak to that number, but we could get it.
Okay.
Okay, just, I mean, there's some, I think it's long been known that there's, a lot of visitors that come in the county. We have a very high tourism rate, and they're using a lot of these services. So, but I was just wondering about those numbers. The other main item that I have is this. I think everything that's being talked about here is excellent. It's putting the county on a path of stability, for the fire service, and that's wonderful. It was mentioned by staff the June 11th board meeting where they talked about the shortfall, and also mentioned by staff now regarding the aging fleet and the issues there. So we've got that issue of about $7.5 million. This resolves it in the long term, but that short-term problem is still here now in our face. So no matter what, even if you went down this road, something's got to be done to work out this fleet now, because this apparatus is just going to be getting too old. It involves not only just getting the apparatus to the scene, but it also does affect the safety of the firefighters. Aging apparatus doesn't have safety considerations like airbags, and that's a high percentage of accidents that can occur in Route 2 incidents, even returning from. So having the proper apparatus, providing for the firefighter safety as well.
I think our staff is well aware of that, and we're working on it as best we can. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Respecting your lunchtime.
I thank you for that.
Chairman Rutherford, members of the board, and the wonderful county staff. I did have the opportunity to be here for the last 3 hours, not knowing exactly what time this item was going to come up. Learned a lot, and really do appreciate the level of work and cooperation that's going on here. It's the same for me and for Groveland CSD, Groveland Fire Department. Very, very important that we plan for the future. Right now, we're in a very precarious position, and I could not imagine standing up having a conversation with a member of the public who said, "You mean it would cost you less, it would cost me less than a Happy Meal a week to be able to stabilize the funding for fire services for perpetuity?" That's a huge thing, because sometimes we think we've got to save cost at all costs because it's going to impact this or that, or people aren't going to support it. But we as the leaders in the community really need to put it out there. So to cut right to the point, GCSD, the Groveland Fire Department, has to increase funding by approximately $400,000, and that has to happen by June 30th, 2021. We need to levy some form of revenue enhancement by next year, by this time next year. Because if we don't do it then, we're looking at 2022 before we have any revenue, and we will not have the money to be able to support the level of service that we currently have. If you don't know, GCSD, the Groveland taxpayers within the district boundaries fund both the Groveland Fire Station that's staffed under Schedule A contract and the Amador Station that's funded completely by the Groveland taxpayers. Those two costs combined comprise about $300,000 more a year than we have in revenue to pay for it. That's a big statement. Okay, so as you consider your options in the future, we've got to make sure that we coordinate very closely. I mean, I'm not even talking fuel, keeping the lights on, replacing the equipment, any of that, where it's just the Schedule A contract is not the revenue from the property taxes, because that's our only source of revenue, do not cover that. Point of clarification, the last time that Groveland had an assessment in place was back fiscal year ending 2012, and that generated about $300,000 a year in revenue that funded the Groveland Fire Department at the time. A measure was defeated in that year, and there has not been a tax levied in Groveland since that time. It's just ad valorem tax. The GCSD board is committed to partnering with the county on this and moving this forward. Hopefully we can stay on the same timeline if you choose to go in that direction of some type of a either assessment or tax, that we can work together on timing and messaging and everything else. We just understanding our time constraints, we may have to go in advance if it goes out to where revenue is not going to come in until 2022. We support funding the level of services at the level that's going to provide for sustained staffing at our current level minimum, possibly increase or decrease our response times to portions of the district where we currently have a longer response time because it's on the other side of the lake or far away, and equipment replacement. If we're going to send engines out 25 miles away and expect them to come back whole, we need to have some replacement equipment in the next decade for sure. So we do support that level of funding, which moves us up on that scale on the annual assessment if that's the case. The district is moving forward with both a fire master plan update and a development impact fee study related to fires, and that will result in a fee schedule on a per unit of development basis that then will be introduced to the county for you to consider implementing that so that there's an impact mitigation going forward. So we support that, the development impact fee portion of it. The cost recovery program, that I think it's important for us to ever consider getting a measure passed, as we've talked about before, having being able to say to the public, hey, we're reducing the impact on you as much as we possibly can if we're going to go out for a measure by recovering as much of the cost, even if it's a small amount, from those that are receiving the service that aren't paying the cost.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Mike Lemke, President of Tuolumne County Building Industry. I'll try to make my comments as brief and quick as possible for you. Very important topic to the entire community and to all concerned. We take it very seriously. I would like to point out, though, if any of us were to drive in any direction from this building, we could armchair quarterback very easily multiple sources of fire danger. Deferred maintenance, old historical building codes, on and on and on. I do coil back at any time that there's a reference that new job growth and development is a contributor to our historical and ongoing fire concerns here. We don't have much of an example to demonstrate that. If you were to drive out and try to discover a new home neighborhood in our community, which is very far and few between. In fact, I can't show you any examples of anything that's built to today's modern code. You would drive into a neighborhood that is lane designed for fire vehicle, emergency vehicle access, both entryway and emergency vehicle access scenarios. You would identify a neighborhood that has parking restrictions identified and planned up front. You would have a neighborhood that is designed for adequate fire suppression, water flow, spacing of fire hydrants, all in consideration. The neighborhood would have overall WUI design. The homes themselves would have current fire codes, current fire sprinklers. The WUI design would carry on into the home, which is the answer to our problems, which is additional armoring and fire resiliency to the home. Not only would the perimeter structure have additional fire spread design characteristics to it, windows are tempered, leaf screens are put across the gutters. The roofing material is designed appropriately for fire conditions. New growth and development is the answer to a lot of our problems that we're talking about over the last several days: budget, finance, fees, etc. Through the process, I like to make sure that media doesn't take the misconsideration that growth has contributed to this. We can identify that growth has been our contributor here in the last few decades. We just haven't had it in Tuolumne County. It is the existing conditions that we're having to deal with. I understand that development fee is an easy place to capture fees. I just wish we had more development to be able to pay those fees. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Name's David Peters again. I don't know how many of you remember, and we tend to forget quickly, but the fire tax that was imposed on us by California brought a tremendous amount of anger in this community, throughout this community, rightly so. It is no longer in existence, rightly so. But parcel fees are going to start that all over again, because you guys got guys like me who have Social Security, small retirement, trying to make a living up here, and my parcel fee list that I get from taxes every year from the schools and this and that and the other thing is getting longer and longer. 30 years at a pop. And that can't be maintained and have people who are middle class people stay in this area. If you want a rich retirement community, go for it. Then they'll be able to pay those fees because they have the money. We don't have that money. And when these kind of assessment fees or fees come up on parcels, you're going to get some fighting, and I'm going to be right out there in the front fighting it. And so, you know, I think you ought to reconsider that part of it. I think that the development fees, rightly so. I mean, it's hard to do anything in this county. Everybody gives up. You got a lot. I sold my lot because there's no way you can build on it. It takes too long and costs too much to build on it. So to streamline development and construction and the process of getting permits and establish a permanent basis for taxable income in the community without killing everybody off, that's one thing. But these fees, these assessments that keep coming up, it's easy to put it on the person who owns the place. Yeah, I worked my butt off to own that place for 40 years. And so, you know, to put that burden always back on the property owner, it's to me ridiculous. One of the things I think might be useful is to consider, for the expense part of it, not to have responders, 3 different responders come out on emergencies. I was a social worker at the Satellite Dialysis Center. When we had to call in a code on a patient, 3 emergency vehicles showed up and about 16 emergency personnel. The roads got blocked off. Nobody could get in or out of parking. The poor technicians in there trying to dialyze the other patients couldn't get around because there was 15 different emergency responders standing around either learning or waiting to see if there's anything they could do. Now, we might look at that. There must be an app or something out there you can say, well, you know, the ambulance is already on the way. You don't need a fire truck and, you know, a couple of more EMTs and all that kind of stuff. So I know a lot of people are concerned about that. You have a problem, a whole bunch of trucks show up. So that's my concern. But my biggest concern is this fee thing. I mean, some of those other areas seem legit, but the fee thing, I think, is just overblown.
Could I ask him a question?
Sure.
You got up earlier and talked about your increasing insurance cost, that it's tripled in cost, up into thousands of dollars. If there was an opportunity to have a better fire department that may reduce that $1,000, would not the $100 parcel fee be more beneficial to you as a property owner and homeowner?
It would if it worked that way.
Okay. That was my question. That's what we need to sort through.
Yeah, but sorting through it, you have to look at the facts. Now, the facts are like right now, I am insured by Lloyd's of London. I'm not going to lose that, okay? My son's already lost it. I have a hydrant on my property within 50 feet of my house. I have a fire station 3 blocks down the road. I haven't got one penny of break
Sir,
on my insurance.
Sir, we understand, but I believe Supervisor Gray's point is, if in this process we can get better insurance coverage in our communities, is it worth it to you? Not assuming worst case. If we assume the worst case in every situation, we can't do anything. So the question was pretty simple, and I think you answered it. It would be worth it to you if we could get more reasonable insurance rates and more coverage in our community.
It's a big if.
I understand.
It's a big if.
But you don't.
If that happens, I would be out in front asking for a partial tax at the maximum amount.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
And then,
Thank you.
Andy, could you answer the question about the response, the fire response, the truck issues and things like that? Because I know we've addressed a lot of that, but explain how it's done and why right now.
Right. So in 2016, a Tuolumne County Automatic Aid Agreement was signed by all of the local government fire protection districts. At that time, the response plans were adjusted. There are some calls where maybe the closest engine is not the authority that has jurisdiction. So they may both go to the closest engine plus the authority having jurisdiction may respond, but also to a typical medical call is one engine from the fire side, then ambulance as well, of course. And a code or a CPR call, because it requires more people, is 2 engines. And at any time, the incident commander may request additional resources. But I could see, it's not unusual for not only fire to show up with a couple of bodies and an intern throughout the county, and the ambulance with their staff, and the sheriff also arrives to help. I could see how that number 15 would be great if they responded to every incident, but that's probably an unusual incident.
That's just something that might be looked at, because I know a lot of people are going, holy smoke, what did all these people have?
He just answered. We did that.
We did it in 2016.
Changed the way that we approach.
Good afternoon, Ron Kopf. I think people have made some good comments. We all agree that fire resiliency and fire safety is a huge issue, and we know you're struggling with funding and to try and find revenue, and fire safety is absolutely important. I heard in the beginning of the conversation that there was some consolidation mentioned. I know we always battle it out with the school districts and everything else, but as you go forward and you add other fire stations and things like that, is there a way that we can look at more efficiencies of how do we consolidate all those? I know some of the departments have a captain and then they got a lot of volunteer people. Are there other ways to staff that thing going forward, or how they all get administered going forward that would provide some efficiency and scale? But that's something that you could look at with the overall program. From a funding standpoint, you've got a number of different programs to look at, and where Mike Lemke was talking about looking at the development impact fees. I know what was mentioned by the last speaker was I was one of those that hated paying that fee on my parcel to the state, because I knew we were going to send it out of the county and it was never going to come back. I personally would be much happier paying that parcel fee that I knew was going to stay in the county and it was going to be used to reduce this. So I don't have a problem with that. I know it was also looking at, occupied parcels, but we also, when we protect parcels, we also protect parcels that are undeveloped out there, because they don't want to get burned up either. So maybe there's some sort of prorated amount that if you don't have a structure on it or something else, that there is some additional fee that looks at with those parcels that are undeveloped, because they don't want to go, oh gee, no house on that, let that one burn up and we'll go from there. We all want to try and cover it. as we said, it's always easier, from the development impact fee to impact the new guy. But Mike, I think, did a very good job of saying that new guy coming on board is providing a house that's fire hardened. It is providing a house that's got fire sprinklers. It is providing a number of these other programs with it. And that house is also paying, the current building permit fee, which is not inexpensive, and they're also paying school fees, they're paying traffic mitigation fees, they're paying parks and rec fee, they're also paying a Geiger fee, which is supposed to be growth in government, which is also supposed to include some portion of fire in that, police and other protection related to that. And when you start adding all of those up along with water and sewer and other fees that include decks, detached garages and other things with it, it starts making it very difficult to provide the housing that is affordable that we're trying to encourage, that also has a higher parcel tax allocation and brings more revenue as we go forward. So I would encourage you to look at more of the parcel tax than trying to just add on to the fee impact on the housing, and then everybody's going to start battling over, is that house being built over here, and how are we allocating all of those funds. So when you look at the cumulative effect on an 1,800 square foot house, and I think Supervisor Kirk has indicated that you build a house in the not too distant past, it does add up and become a substantial part of that overall cost. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and close, or not close the public comment period, but I see no more public comment. Bring it back to the board. I'll start with Supervisor Campbell, and I'll remind us that we are working into our lunch period.
Yeah, no, I just, I'll kind of echo some of the comments earlier that, this is different than the state responsibility area fee that was assessed to all residents that have the privilege of living in flammable counties. These fees are going directly to support our community, and the way they're dispersed is in a much more responsible way than I thought the SRA funds were used. I'm also supportive of the business license fee for reasons including fire safety of the structures, but also, as Chairman Rotifer said, there are other benefits to that as well. One is the collection of data. Business license fees go up. That means the economy is doing pretty well. If they go down, that means we're struggling. It's a pretty neat and tidy way to determine the health of your local economy. Additionally to that, there's a law enforcement element to it. If you have somebody operating a business that you don't necessarily want in the county, they would have to apply for that license just like anyone else. And so you have that extra barrier of for law enforcement to come in, and if it's something that, if it's a compliance issue. So those are my main thoughts.
Okay. Supervisor Kirk, did you have anything?
Yeah, sorry, it's an important topic, so let me go through this as quick as I can. When it comes to the development impact fee, he was right. I did build a home, probably the best thing I ever did. And I'm not going to beat the bush too much, but we have to put sprinklers in our homes, certain gutters, wildland urban interface, energy code calculations. We got solar coming. This goes directly against affordable housing, so I don't support that one bit. When it comes to the business license, I'm a little reserved because there's already a state mandate, which is being adhered to, and I don't know how much of an intrusion this will be into businesses. From the broad level, I like the idea of getting that business information and having that information to make decisions, but I'm hesitant as far as I don't know what the scope. I would like to know more about what the scope would be if you enter my business. What is that going to mean for me? Because, as a business owner, I'd like to know that. So that's more information I need on that. When it comes to, and also, we already addressed that because it's not going to bring any revenue in. It's just going to support the costs of those inspectors. When it comes to the false alarm fee, it looks like it's a little too much work to administer something so small. It's just my opinion. I don't know really if there'd be a cost recovery in that. And let me hit these last two, or these last three. So public assistance call fee, I am interested in that. I agree that fire has turned into more of a medical response, like you said, since the 70s. And so I think there needs to be some offset with that cost. So I support that idea. And then the two big ones, the public safety fee and the fire parcel benefit assessment. So the public safety fee, I was thinking about this last night and early this morning. And just to clarify, this is separate from a TOT. So wouldn't require a vote by constituents. It would be a fee that we implement. The thing I like about this is that it can only go directly towards fire. Whereas TOT, if you raise it by 2%, 25% goes to the Visitors Bureau, and then the rest gets put in the general fund, and that can be divvied up however. I like this because it's only and specifically for fire. So if we did approve a $5 fee, would there be also the inflation incremental, like 2% every year, 1.5% every year? So it's sustainable?
Yeah. That would be up to your board.
Okay.
As far as how you want to craft this fee, if you're interested in developing something like it.
Okay. So I like that, and that's kind of where I stand on that. And then when it comes to fire parcel assessment fee, this, as a property owner, I support. I don't support taxes, but I do support making our fire departments safe and sustainable. We can't afford a Paradise Fire, otherwise we just can't afford that. So as an individual and as a constituent and as somebody who owns a home, I would pay that $130 fee. And so I would support this going out as a measure to be voted on by constituents. But one thing I thought about this morning, and I would kind of like staff to look at, maybe the Calaveras model, is I noticed this summer when I was cleaning up my yard and, I had some trash and other things. If we could somehow with this fee, and this, I don't want to hurt this if we were to go to the public with it, but if we could, say, take a $100 fee or a $75 fee, but then also add in a $40 fee for trash disposal. So in Calaveras County, they pay a fee every year. And then that money, that allows you to go to the dump every year or 10 times a year. I don't know what the ratio is, but we could fund fire, but then also maybe give property owners a chance to clean their lots and make it more fire safe. So kind of two birds with one stone. Again, if it's going to take away from us getting this parcel fee passed, then I wouldn't go down that road. But I would be interested to see if that would be something we could combine, fund fire, but also fund people being able to do defensible space and do dump runs. So,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Supervisor Gray.
Yeah. Okay, so the business license seems like makes a lot of sense. The parcel fee, whatever price we can come up to, makes sense. I hated to pay the $130 to the state because, like Mr. Koff said, we weren't getting it back. But since then, we've got quite a bit back. So it's probably been a pretty good trade-off. The TOT type fee for lodging in campgrounds makes sense, and if we keep it at a level that's not too high, it's not going to make any difference, and it can go into a pool. I think putting additional fees on top of building is just going to cause us more problem in a housing shortage that we already have. To add additional costs on that and still think that we're going to try to build houses, it's not going to make much sense. I'm kind of a little really not sure which way to go with the property owner assist. If we get the parcel tax, we should say, okay, everybody's going to be benefiting by the assist because it'll be included in that fee. I do think that on the residential homes or the assisted living homes and things like that, that we should really look at that and see what we can come up with, what's a reasonable fee to charge them, because I have some experience there with people in those homes, and I think every time I was a visitor, there seemed to be a fire truck there, and that takes you away from other things to do. So that's just kind of Reader's Digest of it.
Supervisor Brennan?
Yeah, thank you. I'll be brief. The business license, I would like to talk about that in the future in the full context of what a business license implication would be. Fire is a component of that, but it really has a lot more to it than fire. And so I really think that needs to be addressed in a different, under a different umbrella. We have a housing crisis in this county. We've been talking about it for a very long time, and especially a affordable housing crisis or a workforce housing crisis. And so I really am not in favor of looking at a building fee. I just don't think that's going to help us, and at this time, it just doesn't fit for me. The public safety fee, we talk about our population doubling during our tourism seasons. And then when I went back and when I was reading this, I tried to think about some of our past fires and comments being made. The majority of fire starts are along roads, and campfires was another major ignition source. And so I would like us to investigate that. I think that has some merit. And certainly I don't think residents should be bearing the entire cost of what we need to do here. So I like that piece. Parcel tax, I would say that I think that Supervisors Gray's analogy on the insurance piece is important, and we've got to look at that. That conversation is much larger. We know that vegetation is really driving that conversation right now. But certainly if we can get that vegetation in a healthy place, then we can come back and look at the resources that are available for fire suppression. My problem when we talk about parcel tax is that we take away the public land in Tuolumne County, and I think something 90% or 92% of the remaining land is in Williamson Act contract. And those contracts I know are made up of multiple parcels. And so we need to look at the equity in that, because I would tell you that a number of our agriculturalists would say burning across my land actually has some positive benefits. So we need to be equitable in how we do this. And I just want to be certain that we're doing that. And that equity also comes with, if we have this parcel tax and we're looking at, say, residential care where there are multiple calls, what is a scale that makes sense and addresses the needs that individual business types have?
Okay. So I'll wrap this up, I guess. I'm not prepared to say I'm for or against anything right now, okay? I mean, there's things I favor more than others, obviously. We have a problem. I'm not sure that problem is really well defined. Maybe it is, and I didn't get it out of the presentation, but with the background materials. But I think we really need to well define what our problem is over time going forward. And I think we need to look at all those options. And I think staff needs more guidance than we can give you right now in coming back to us with a menu of options. Okay, obviously so what I'm going to propose is that we have a little ad hoc group form, staff, and maybe 2 supervisors that I'm still considering who I want that to be right now, or who might be acceptable to the rest of the board, to work out some options. Okay, not a solution. Obviously, the solution needs to be voted on by the whole board, but to better define what the magnitude of the problems are over time, how we need to address those, and what are some layers to the layer cake of solution here that the full board might consider. Okay, because we need to get moving on this. So we can't be doing this on an every 2-week basis or whatever, and so that's my proposal, is that we send the staff off, let them work with a couple of supervisors to get something that's that's consumable by the board and come back at the earliest possible later date that would give us the most time flexibility if we need to put something on a ballot or something like that, that we have the time to do that. So that's my recommendation. Do I get some head nods?
Yeah, because I certainly was not insinuating that I have enough information at this point.
I
was
understand.
just giving some initial preferences.
So
I would definitely.
Yeah, and I don't want to take anything off the table right now. There's some things I'd throw away if it was me personally, but I want to leave all the options on the table and sort through it, and then come back and maybe, okay, here's one solution, here's maybe 3, 4 possible options that are digestible that we can maybe even mix and match, okay, to get to that. So I did ask Supervisor Gray if he'd be willing to work on that project with the staff. He said yes. Is there anyone else that just wants to really, okay, I'll put Supervisor Campbell on there with Supervisor Gray. Is that okay?
Should be a challenge.
It should be, yeah. Him keeping you under control there.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so is that acceptable to the board? Okay. Are you?
Well, I just want to bring up, we do have a finance committee, and it's a natural place for this type of information to flow through and to work it out. And you do have 2 board members already appointed to that. Now, I honestly right now can't remember who that is because we haven't had one yet this fiscal year.
Honestly, I can't either. I know I'm on it, but I don't.
I believe I'm on it, and so I would defer to Supervisor Gray.
Okay.
It's completely up to you. Just we already have a committee in place that this is really, I think, and Alicia.
I prefer the ad hoc.
Okay.
Okay. And we can chat later. So, okay.
Okay.
We'll go with that. Is that okay? Okay. Thank you very much. And now, only 36 minutes late, we're going to adjourn for lunch. We will come back, not at 1:30 as usual, since we don't. Pardon me?
To read the
You need to read what?
the closed session.
Okay, but we're going to come back at 2 o'clock, okay, because we don't have any appointments. So go ahead and read all the closed sessions before I adjourn formally.
And you don't have to come back at 2, and you can just
Okay.
come back after the closed sessions. All righty. Closed session. Conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Authority Government Code Section 549569D1, Central Sierra Environmental Resources Center versus County of Tuolumne County Superior Court Case Number CV 62142. Closed session, conference with labor, legal counsel, anticipated litigation, Authority Government Code Section 549569D2, one case. And then there are 2 public employee performance evaluations, Authority Government Code Section 54957B1. One is the county administrator, the other one is the General Services Agency Director. And the last one is conference with labor negotiators, Tracy Riggs, Ann Fremd, Kim Phipps, Authority Government Code Section 54957.6, all bargaining units.
Okay, any public comment on the closed session items? Okay, with that, we are adjourned for lunch and into closed session, and do we anticipate a report out on anything? And we do not anticipate a report out. Thank you.